to turn this record on.
That helps too.
Yeah. Anyway, I have determined to not eat after my 5:30 meal, and then the only thing I drink is water. Mm-hmm. And it hurts for a few days. I'll tell you why it hit me that this is going to work before you do it. When we joined Youth with a Mission, we flew over and from our lavish Texas lifestyle, mm-hmm. and ended up in this little village outside of a small village. Mm-hmm. So we were kind of on the outskirts of nowhere.
Yeah. In Holland?
In Holland.
Yeah, or Netherlands, they call it, yeah.
Yes. And so there, back then, everything shut down at 6 p.m.
Oh, yeah.
And not only this, on Fridays, they shut down at 1.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm sorry, no, Saturdays.
Yeah.
Saturdays.
That makes sense.
Right. They should have, but then they didn't open again until noon on Monday.
Wow.
So all through Monday morning from Saturday to Sunday, you couldn't, I mean, we're talking, you could go to a restaurant or what they call an imbis, snack shop, or little huts, and get some treats. And we lived, like I said, we lived outside of this really small village anyway. So anyway, after about a month, the first 2 weeks, I was literally feeling like I was starving to death.
You couldn't do late night Chinese takeout?
I couldn't do anything.
No pizza delivery?
and we lost probably 20 pounds in that time. And if you see pictures, my wife and I, we look pretty undernourished almost because we started losing weight so fast. So anyway, I've gone back to that. I've done Atkins in the past and variations of it, which I really believe in. I think the Atkins diet is still the best diet out there. But this is even better.
Yeah.
Because you're able to eat whatever you want all day.
Yeah.
Just don't eat it after 6 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
And so anyway, so we'll see in a few weeks if I start.
I got a question on that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, you said the first few days, your body gets used to certain creature comforts. So when you deny it, it's tough at first. I've started taking, because of a little bit of an acid reflux thing that's come up. My doctor said, well, if Tums doesn't work, then try Pepcid AC. He said, we really don't want you on Prilosec or,
really?
Omeprazole. Yeah, you just don't want to make that a maintenance drug. You always do the most mild that works.
I see. Because well, when I think about it, or if my stomach's really bugging me, I'll do Nexium, which is
like omeprazole.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
And which I think is better. I didn't like Prilosec for some reason.
Right.
But
it's another one in that class.
Yeah, yeah.
But the Pepcid AC is a lot less. It's a tiny, tiny pill. And it works. So I stick with that. It's cheaper too.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah. Once you're on Medicare, like I am, but then you can get it for free.
That reminds me. Later in the show, I want to get into the whole. As we get older and more dependent on government, what happens to our politics? Because it has to do with your campaign last year for city council. Let's talk about that later.
But anyway, I want to give a shout out to Wrangler Jeans.
Yeah.
I'm not getting paid on this, but I have found out Levi's, they're either too skinny-legged or the sizes don't seem right.
Right.
And Levi's and some of the others. Now, I haven't tried the latest, hottest fashion jean item. Speaking of good jeans, most of us have heard about American Eagle and their ad campaign with this lovely young actress.
Miss Cleavage, yes.
Well, yeah, that's what's funny on it. They keep zooming in there.
Of course they do.
And then going past it. But
the young boys, pay attention.
to me though, honestly, I think the thing that's more attractive, well, of course, more attractive to me, is her face.
Yes,
she's got a really pretty, simple, pretty face. But I don't know if you've seen this one commercial, and basically, AI is something else. But anyway, they've got this commercial of I I can't think of her name right now, but anyway, and it's her showing off the jeans, but it's got her doing different things, and she's riding the American Eagle.
Oh yeah,
she's actually riding an eagle, and then they show this. I don't know what it is, but there's this very grossly overweight, unattractive female with like different color hair.
Is her name Serena?
No,
okay.
No. This is just this unattractive lady, and she's riding a hippo.
Oh!
And then the hippo goes in the water, and it goes under, because she's so heavy, she pushes it. And then it goes back to showing, I can't think of her name right now, on this eagle flying. And it just shows these girls all, and it's got flames coming in front of the American Eagle store.
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably about a 5-minute video, and
Sydney Sweeney is who you're talking about.
That's right, Sydney Sweeney. And I'll tell you what, American Eagle, I don't think back since the Bud Light commercials, when they were really good and funny.
Yeah.
And they were memorable. Mm-hmm. I haven't seen anything as catchy as the American Eagle ads.
Yeah.
But having said that, I'm a Wrangler guy.
Yeah, me too.
Because Wranglers fit.
Completely.
Wranglers fit.
They do.
So
they're
anyway,
old guy jeans, Eddie.
Maybe yeah. Instead of mom jeans, they're dad jeans.
You know what? You and I, you like relaxed fit, right?
Right.
I mean, our days of tight Levi's 501s. That was college days.
501, 1001, whatever.
Yeah.
I did. They just never fit right.
Yeah.
And I knew I didn't have to go into the dressing room. I looked at the size, knew what size I wanted, and boom, I put them on at home, and man, they fit great. Mm-hmm. Now. They fit great for now. If I lose a whole lot more weight, I'll be going down to the lower size. But anyway, so I did want to give a shout out to Wrangler Jeans. Thank you, Wrangler, for doing jeans that are for the average normal person.
Yeah.
And these are boot cut too, which means they're a little flared at the bottom. So I even wear my cowboy boots today to chime out.
Wrangler's carpenter pants became my work uniform. I'm a home improvements contractor. And you know what I really like about it is they have the side hip pockets. Now, you could get those in cargo pants as well, but you got to deal with flaps. I hate the flaps, right? But you know what? I can put my cell phone in one hip pocket, my wallet in the other hip pocket. I can be driving down the interstate. Phone rings, I can pull it out. It's not sitting under my butt.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't put my phone in my pocket when I'm driving. Mm-hmm. So just to. I would advise most of you not to if you got to reach down in your pocket and pull out a phone while you're driving.
Yeah,
but I just lay mine on the console right there.
I agree.
There, so.
It's just whenever, like I'm at work, I'm on ladders, I'm climbing, I'm on roofs and stuff.
That's true.
It is handy.
Another thing too today in today's world, if you got a car newer than 2023. When the phone rings, it shows up on your dashboard and it answers there. So, but as far as just plain comfortable pants and so forth, I'd have to say Wrangler are the way to go.
Yeah.
Then my other plug for today, again, I don't even know if I should. Yeah, I'll say his name. It's Dr. Phan.
Tell me.
Tran Phan. Which kind of sounds, Tran Pham, and then M. Anyway, he's a Vietnam refugee.
Okay.
Worked with the U.S. government or U.S. Army back during the Vietnamese War. He's older, and came here, and then ended up going to medical school, and he has 2 sons, which is so. I've always talked about this. I remember when my kids were graduating at Union. The first thing when I announced the salutatory and valedictorian, salutatory, and whatever the top. Well, usually the 5 or 5 to 10 people with all the honors, they were always wins.
Yeah,
and that's NGUYN.
Yes.
Yeah. And it was always Vietnamese. And it told me something. This was in 96 was my daughter first graduating. And I'll never forget, it hitting me that one generation, 20 years after we rescued all of the Vietnamese people, in one generation, they have come and they're at the top of all the graduates. And no, I don't care what school, high school you go to in America, there's going to be a win or a new or a something. Even when my daughter went to Pepperdine later, my daughter graduated with a 4.0 high school. Actually it was a 4.3 because they have the accelerated classes.
APs.
So it was like a 4. I think it was a 4.5 because 5 is the perfect score. But that's because if you take all honors classes.
Yeah.
And she didn't like honors classes. But anyway, but at Pepperdine, they went through the same thing. Vietnamese,
sure.
It's Harvard, and Chinese try to give them a run for the money as well. Descendants of Chinese, but it's interesting how these people came to America in 1974, the boat people, and they had no money. In fact, they didn't know I remember Youth with a Mission. I was with YWAM back in the 80s, and we had refugee camps set up in Thailand for the people trying to flee the Cambodian, Khmer Rouge, and the communists who were just, you talk about genocide. They were literally killing everybody.
Yeah, Pol Pot was worse.
Pol Pot, that was the Cambodian.
Yeah,
Pol Pot. So anyway, so these people would flee to Thailand, and YWAM, the people... the UN was trying to run these camps. That's who was running the camps. But they were doing a terrible job, as they still are today.
Of course.
But there was like manure up to your knees because they didn't have proper bathrooms or anything. People didn't know bathroom. So the people would just go wherever they could and everything. And so they called YWAM in, and they went in and cleaned everything out and got everything built, latrines for them at these refugee camps. And what was funny, as is so often the case, because Youth with a Mission was a Christian organization, you had some, nosy, liberal, atheistic organizations complaining that somehow under church and state we shouldn't be paying a Christian organization to come in to do these things. So they essentially fired YWAM for about 6 months. Until the poop got back up to and these NGOs, these non-governmental organizations of atheists didn't want to put up with the crap, literally. And so they called, can you come back? So we came back, and then what we did is when we set up refugee camps, reintegration camps here in California. And so these Vietnamese people would come here, and we taught them things like, you don't stand on the toilet, you sit on it.
You hear that, Somalians?
Things, just basic hygiene things, and the things that are different culturally in America than they were in Vietnam. And so anyway, and then what they would do when they would shipped out to Corpus Christi, Galveston, were in Louisiana, because a lot of these people were so good at fishing. They went into the fishing, and that created, remember, a big storm. The American fishermen were upset because the Vietnamese were coming in and taking their fish from them, their fish. But anyway, and Vietnamese start, and those Vietnamese parents who were basic refugees and didn't know anything about culture, our business, etc., they came in and really utilized the American way. And their kids, one generation later, start going to MIT, to Harvard, to Yale, et cetera.
And Eddie, you've told the story about the donut man in California. The immigrant, it's just hard work.
It is.
That's, Thomas Edison says the reason why most Americans don't recognize success when they see it is it comes dressed in old ragged bib overalls and looks like hard work.
And the thing is too, you don't take, I don't want to say failure, but you don't take sitting back as an excuse. There's no excuse for failure, basically. And I've told a story about my one son, who's the Coast Guard lieutenant commander and airline pilot. Well, I still remember the day I came home and he comes running and meeting me right at the door. Dad, before you say anything, before you get upset, I made a B in math. And I could have said,
he said, I got to explain.
No.
Okay.
No. And I said, you got a B. And then he says, I've got to explain. And so he goes through it. It was hard. It was a test, and I asked, did anyone get an A? And he said, well, yeah, a few. I said, why weren't you one of those? Mm-hmm. Now, as you know, as I've told before, little did he know that I had a 2.1.
Exactly. But that didn't stop you from expecting better.
More, right, exactly, because I knew my parents never pushed me. They never demanded anything more.
You see, that's why we're weekend talk show guys, is because our parents didn't push us further.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly. I might be, and so, here's the other thing about me. This is how crazy, okay? Mm-hmm. My senior year in Germany, they started a work-study program because we were on a military base. And so I got this internship, if you will, or work-study thing. Every morning, my first job was to work in the data processing center for the Army. Mm-hmm. And so every morning I would go over and I picked up punch cards back in the punch card day, and I would run these punch cards and fix everything and print out, do the printouts and everything. And so my boss I don't know if he was a major, he might have been a civilian contractor.
Yep.
He was so excited because he thought I was just really cut out for this. Okay. So I ended up doing that. To me, it was just something to do, some work, and it was easy for me.
Yeah.
And so I go to Texas Tech, and I come home after my first semester, and I go visit, and my boss said, "So, did you major in computer science?" I said, "Nah, I'm liberal arts or something, And my big dream was to play football or do something, which is so much the black mentality, or sometimes minority mentality, whatever you're good at sport wise, it seems easier. And I looked at the guy, and it was like I slapped his mother. He was that offended and sad because he just knew that I was going to be this great computer whiz. And they even took us to Frankfurt, which was the control data headquarters for Germany, for Europe, actually, control data in Frankfurt. And I went and I looked, and back then they had like 2 floors of these giant computers with the reels, remember when they had the big reels on them?
Yeah.
Anyway, and control data used to be a big name in computers back in this was in 1969. But anyway, just a long story short, it's just funny how we can look at something as not being very important, and it turns out to be. I mean, just imagine if I had gotten in the computer science deal and gone to work for IBM or Microsoft or something back then, I could be a millionaire. But instead, as you said, I'm just a lowly talk show host on weekends. No. But anyway, my whole point really, though, was going back to the initial thing, Dr. Pham.
Yeah.
My doctor, what brought this up, why I want to mention him, is I've been having trouble with my legs, not my knees. Just when I walk, my legs, the muscles hurt. And I felt like, oh, great, I can see me in a wheelchair. And I thought it was something really, really bad, just you're getting old and you're going to be in a wheelchair. That's what so I made an appointment. I said, I got to go see him about this. And he's doing my check. And I said, well, what I really came in here for is my legs, because I'm having this problem, from my knees down to my ankles. And it's not knees or anything like that. And he says, oh, just take B12. I said, what?
Boom.
He said, just take B12. I said, no, come on. It's got to be something more important than taking vitamin B12. No, just take B12.
Yeah.
Sure enough, I start taking my B12 this week, and it's like I have new legs.
All right.
I mean, it is the weirdest thing that something that simple.
Yeah.
And then the second thing, this was way back that he worked on with me. It was what is it? That man, it'll come to me at some point here. My mind is just.
But
racing.
this Vietnamese doctor.
This is a Vietnamese doctor. Yeah.
Said B12.
B12.
Wow.
Yeah, and I don't have the joint pains. I don't have my back, my legs, everything. It's like I had a leg transplant or something, you know. And so that was the one that was B12, and there was another one that he something else that he told me about. It's kidneys, my kidney issue.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I was showing up as having in some, the test they give you.
Yeah. Some concern.
Right. There was some concern about my kidneys. Mm-hmm. And so he tells me to take, what is it? It's by K2.
Okay.
K2. And so I take vitamin K. He said, no, you don't want vitamin K. Get K2. So it comes in the store as D3K2. Okay. D3 plus K2. You can get it at Walmart. You just go in where they have all the vitamins and things.
Supplements,
Supplements. So I start taking that, and boom, sure enough, my kidneys are fine.
Wow.
The next test, my kidneys are working like new.
I've heard.
But isn't that so amazing? So many of the things that people get into and have, they just don't even. Well, first of all, you're afraid to go to the doctor. Usually when you get older, you're really afraid because it's always going to be bad news or something. But no, in this case, it's good news. And like I said, I recommend you take D3 K2, just a simple little bottle, not very expensive. I think it's $3.50. Well, with inflation over the last few months, it might be $4. Mm-hmm. And it'll last you like 3 months or so. And then the other one, like I said, is the one for your joints, which is B12. Take B12. So anyway, just a little bit of news out there for everyone, and an update. And I'm happy. I'm always happy to share things with you guys that I learned, as you probably know.
Yeah, Jim Meehan, you know him from KFEQ days. The first time I was exposed to somebody and told to quarantine for COVID-19, actually I met with our, at that time, state GOP chair, David McLean, and then he called me later. He says, I just came to our coffee meeting from the nursing home, and my mother-in-law just got diagnosed with COVID, and I'm exposed, and now you are too, right? Mm-hmm. And so like, oh, great. So then I called, I'm waiting on my test. I went over to the University of Schusterman campus, got my test, and then I just thought, let me just call Jim Meehan's office. And his associate said, okay, here's the thing. Are you taking zinc? I said, yeah. Well, are you taking quercetin with it? I said, never heard of it. Yeah, quercetin opens up your cells so the zinc can penetrate, because zinc just does amazing things as an antiviral, right? Mm-hmm. Anyway, I mean, Rush Limbaugh is selling zinc in format for a cold. I forget the medicine they're calling. Well, anyway, and it just seems like our medical government establishment, remember they wanted to poo-poo hydrochloroquine, which was already on the market.
Oh, yeah, for malaria. Anti-malarial.
And then, ivermectin. Oh, no, got to have our $1,000 dose drugs. It's a racket. By the way, I'm not really hearing myself all that well here. Maybe it's on the headphones.
I'm sure it is. Keep talking. Let me see which one is you.
Yeah, that's not it. I'm number one. I guess it should be that one. But
is that any better?
That's fine. Well, I'll just talk louder, Eddie.
Yeah, I hear you real well.
Okay, good.
Here, let me do this. I'll turn the master up, see if that works.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, I can hear you great. I can hear myself okay. All right. Anyway, as long as my microphone's on, that's good. So anyway,
I wonder which monitor you're plugged into.
This one's just taking, it's number 4. So leave 4. Good. You don't want to over blast.
Is that better?
Hello?
This is just monitor.
Yeah, but we want to leave that alone.
Okay.
Because that's going into a laptop.
Okay.
And I don't want to blast out our listeners. So anyway, getting back to it, you just have to wonder, a good doctor doesn't succumb to this. But it just seems like, and Eddie, as an insurance salesman, health insurance, it seems like they're enticed to get people on some kind of maintenance dose medicine that has to do somehow with their reimbursement from insurance companies.
Yeah, actually, I think they get bonuses from the pharmaceuticals as well. I remember it was always a big thing. You would see these pretty women dressed in business suits and stuff wheeling this thing into the
they hire beauty contestant winners.
And they go in and present, and they give them samples. They give them all these free samples of stuff to use and to peddle. And I think there's some deal probably between the pharmaceutical injury, a Freudian slip, industry and the doctor's offices.
Yeah.
So, but I want to get back to your whole thing about COVID and ivermectin, et cetera, et cetera. I think it's been proven now, pretty much, that ivermectin is truly a miracle drug. Mm-hmm. It kills and I don't know how or why. And yes, it is a horse medicine, but humans can take it.
No, it's not just one or the other. Right. It's so good, even your animals benefit from it.
Okay. But what I'm saying, it's known as a horse or animal.
The other side
medical.
of that was a derogatory thing.
Right. Well, no, but it's true. I mean, that's what it was originally had been used for. In fact, where I got my ivermectin was at the veterinary supply store.
Right, but they sell it more for dogs.
Well, yeah. Well, originally,
for worms.
Originally, it was for all animals, but horses. The dose you get that you buy at the veterinary supply store is usually made for horses, and then you do a smaller dose for your dog or whatever. But in any event, it works. Mm-hmm. It works. That's the bottom line. What we want to get at is the ivermectin and the hydrochloroquine or hydroxychloroquine.
Yeah,
See, right. I first got introduced to it when it was just chloroquine as an anti-malarial.
Right.
When I was going to Africa, you would have to take these.
It's a miracle drug over there.
Oh, yeah. And we used it all the time, and the Africans are all getting malaria.
Yeah.
And we're not. Now, every now and then somebody going not to take the right dose, and then they bring back malaria with them to wherever. But the hydroxychloroquine replaced the chloroquine, and I was taking it in the 80s, the late 80s. First time I took the hydroxychloroquine was in 87 when I went to Uganda. Yeah. And then when I went back in 2016, I got a big dose of it because you're supposed to take it a month before you go and a month after through a month after. And but I always had a lot left. It was left over. And so when I heard that it worked, I started taking it, my leftovers, for the COVID.
Yeah. Between 25 and 30,000 workers building the Panama Canal died of malaria. That's how serious it is. And that was Central America. So, but that was before we had the medicine. Right. So, yeah, it's great. Here's the thing. My family doctor for many, many years, Ed Rylander, he's a graduate of Oral Roberts University Medical School. He says a lot of times the older drugs work better than the newer ones. They push you towards the ones where they get bonuses.
Right.
Yeah.
The most profitable.
And I remember talking to a pharmaceutical rep one time, and I mentioned my doctor, this pharmaceutical rep says, I don't like her out of there. I said, why? He says, he keeps turning us down. He says, no, it's too expensive. Nope, too expensive. Nope, too expensive. Because, So it's good to have a good doctor. You've got a great one.
Yeah. So like I said, my legs feel like I have new legs, and just in general, I've learned to trust. And what's funny, how I came to him is he was recommended for my mother. Mm-hmm. And he knew what he was doing. So, and going to him, it's like the old time, like when I walk in, his wife is one of his office people. Mm-hmm. Oh, Eddie, and she's Vietnamese. Mm-hmm. Oh, Eddie, how are you today? And how's your mother and your wife and okay, and we haven't seen you in a while. I mean, it's like they remember. It's like the old time family doctor. It's
personal.
And you don't wait. Oh my goodness, the worst thing, and I hate to name names, but one of the Hillcrest, when you go into a doctor there and you go into the waiting room, and then they put you in this is the worst part. You go to the waiting room and they call you back. Mm. Either, oh, great, I got right in. Well, then you sit in the waiting room for 30 minutes to an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're just sitting in there. I could have sat out in the waiting room playing on my phone or done calls or something. But now you're stuck in this little room, like a prison cell, and you're waiting for an hour for this person to come in. That doesn't happen. When they take you in, they check you, do the main normal blood pressure, fever, and boom, and then he comes in. Yeah. It's like it's truly an old time family doctor.
Yeah,
and it's personal. They know you, and they'll call you. And like if I need a prescription, I just call and say, hey, I won't say her name, but so and so. I need this. Okay. And boom, next thing I know, I get a text from Walmart Pharmacy. Mm-hmm. Your prescription's ready waiting for you. Wow. I mean, it's like that service, that service. And so anyway, I've learned, developed some trust there. So
that is good. Yeah. I want to say something here. I've been reading up on ancient Gaelic, Celtic, Scottish, and Welsh history. And when the Romans came
good white history.
When the Romans came in, when the Catholic missionaries came in and stuff, a lot of what was good holistic medicine got treated as witchcraft.
Yeah, right.
And we're just now starting to understand. I mean, I was at the Capitol working on the laws for medical marijuana and what it has to be included in the testing. And one of my friends, Dr. Pasternak, says, you got to include the terpenes. The terpenes are so important. And I tell you, a guy we got to have in here sometime, Chip Paul, who actually wrote the bulk of 788. And he's now got a holistic medicine company. And in fact, Herman Cain was one of his patients before he died of something unrelated. But Herman had Hodgkin's, and
Herman died of COVID.
Right, died of COVID, but was a long time he's treating him. And last time I talked to Chip, he said, I didn't understand just how healthy black pepper is. It's full of terpenes, and so they're just things we're just now starting to unlock. And
so what you should do, go snort some black pepper.
Yeah. There's a reason they put all these herbs and spices on their foods.
Right. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And it isn't just about flavor. And we've got to, I remember my small group, there was one gal that we did this, Secret Santa thing where you draw a name in this group, and I'm like, okay, I got to get her a gift. And I asked, some of her family, what did she like? I got her this book on herbal medicines, and she's just eating this up. And I said, people are going to think you're a witch, because they just associate it with the wrong things. And so I
I mean, the key is to get a doctor you trust, and then, you know, the old Ronald Reagan saying, trust but verify.
Yeah.
You don't want to just go willy-nilly over some of the, you know, we get these things on, if you're a Facebook follower or anything online, and you know, I'm convinced that they are listening to us on our computers and all, because you'll discuss something and boom, all of a sudden ads pop up about whatever you're discussing.
Yeah,
you know,
it's scary.
Yeah, it is. But so you've got to be careful about what you listen to. And so
I think
forth.
it's your cell phone they're listening to.
Or that could be. I don't know what but they're listening to something. And but anyway, I just wanted to share that kudos to my doctor, especially, I mean, he specialized in geriatric medicine. At first I was thinking, well, I'm not geriatric, you know, I want to be young and all, but his manner, everything about the office was like your old time, like anytime I need anything, I call and they take care of it.
Nice.
You know, and if it's something more serious that we're not sure, come on in. Then he'll look at you. And I don't need an appointment. They will make me an appointment on the spot or tell me, okay, we got an opening between, they'll squeeze you in. I mean, that's the kind of stuff how it used to be. And now if you go to one of these hospital-related doctors,
talk about that,
medical clinics, then all of a sudden, well, we can't see you for a week or so many days, or you have to go to the urgent care. They want to send you to urgent care.
Right.
And urgent care, you know, you're going to pay even if you're on Medicare or something, it's going to cost you $45.
Right.
$30 to $45 a visit. And here, no, you know, they'll see you. And so
my family doctor now, Brent Wakefield, Jinx Family Physicians, I've been with him for 15 years now. He said, you know, I'm one of the few remaining independent clinics. Most of the clinics have been bought out by the hospitals. You know, you've got the St. John's Physicians Clinics. You got your Utica Park, which is, of course, Hillcrest. You know, St. Francis has all theirs. And my doctor said they run those clinics as loss leaders that drive the traffic to the hospital, which is where they really make their money.
Yeah.
I can't hear you, Eddie.
Oh,
there you go.
Sorry, thank you. Yeah. My wife ran into that. She had an OBGYN.
Yeah.
And she was affiliated with one of the hospital networks. And that hospital network basically fired her because she was she would take an hour and a half to go through everything with her patients. And they wanted her to know, you know, you've got 15, 20, you're supposed to see so many an hour per day. And so she finally left and went independent. And she's a OBGYN, so she does a lot of obstetrics, you know, and she's gone a lot at the hospital delivering babies. She has 2 degrees from Northwestern University and UCLA. Actually, I think she has 3 degrees, but undergrad and master's from one and then another master's from the other. And so this lady knows what she's doing, but and her husband's an orthopedic surgeon. They own their own building. So they've been able to pretty much dictate their own terms and how long they will see. And that's the important thing. Yes, you want to, if you can, get an independent doctor that is still affiliated with one of the hospitals, but not a staff doctor of that hospital. Yeah. And things will come out a lot better because they are not rushed. They don't have to see 30 patients a day. Yeah. And, you know, and yeah, like I said, I'm just very happy with Dr. Pham and the service we're getting there.
Nice.
And Wrangler jeans.
There you go.
All right, Dave, I think we've beaten that horse for the last 40 minutes. Let's get to some news that we can use. I think one big thing I wanted to discuss is something that happened last weekend, and that's the Charlie Kirk. Thank you.
Yeah.
The Charlie Kirk Memorial Service.
Yeah.
I assume you watched it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And it was truly an amazing thing.
Yeah.
Because it truly merged the spiritual and secular into one event, and it worked. And the thing I think that was the most impressive to me was President Trump's staff members and their speeches and their times. And the one I think above them all, I mean, they were all really good, but to me, the best of them all was Marco Rubio.
He sounded truly like a Baptist preacher.
Yeah.
He really did.
Yeah.
You knew he knew what he's talking about Christ and salvation.
Yeah, exactly.
It was not a foreign subject to him.
No, it was very, and he did it, like you said, more like a preacher than a politician.
Yeah.
J.D. Vance, his was good, but it still came across a little bit like a politician. It just, I don't know how to say it. You could just felt the difference. And I mean, I have to tell you, even though I felt Trump was supposed to be president, I've always respected Marco Rubio, and I'm already supporting him as the next president of the United States. But here's what something always jumps out at me. What spoke to me and still speaks to me today about Marco Rubio is when Donald Trump talked about little hands Marco. You remember?
No, Marco called Trump little hands.
Oh, was it? What did Trump go after? He went after.
No, he said, you know what they say about guys with little hands. You can't trust them. And, that's not, Marco was kind of hinting, but then went to something else. And then Trump said, there's nothing wrong with these hands. He got under Trump's skin.
Right, but because Trump was calling him little Marco.
Right, and that was his comeback.
Right.
He's got little hands.
Oh, okay.
And the insinuation that goes with
right. Okay. So it was Little Hands Marco.
No, Marco's the one that said Trump had little hands.
Well, there was something that Trump did and was using as a retort against Marco. Well, actually, Trump started it probably.
He called him Little Marco.
Right, but it was more than that. There was I can't remember, but in any event,
there's no end to the put downs from Trump.
Right, and you would have thought these two. Same with Ted Cruz.
He got worse with Ted Cruz.
And it shows here's two examples. Ted and Marco, and then you got Rand Paul. Rand Paul took offense, and Rand Paul still today is not good friends or a supporter, a full, wholehearted supporter of Donald Trump.
I think it's different, but you got a point.
Yeah. So, whereas the people he savaged the most, Ted Cruz and Marco, you could throw Bush in there, but that ended real quickly.
Yeah, but he annihilated all of them,
right?
Including
right. But he went after these two. To me, the two that should have taken the biggest offense were Ted Cruz and Marco.
Yeah, they got the most because they were hanging around the longest,
right? But the fact that both of those have become strong allies, and where did Trump go for a Secretary of State?
Right,
Marco Rubio.
Right.
And you would have thought that'll never happen. They'll be bitter enemies, but they're not. And they just it's
no. I just took one breath.
Yeah, right. But in any event, following that, the way that Marco has been from the beginning, as soon as he became president, Marco already was ready to forgive and start supporting him. And it's just to me, it shows that Marco understood something that I think many don't, and that is we can be enemies in a competition. It kind of reminds me of these football teams. They get out there and fight it and bludgeon each other, and at the end, after the game's over, they're out there hugging and shaking hands. And sometimes I wonder, wow.
When we had Jim Bridenstine in, there were some things I couldn't talk to him on the air. It would have put him in a bad position. But I've heard from other sources one of the biggest things keeping him, it took 2 years for him to get the NASA gig.
Right.
And one of the biggest obstacles was Marco Rubio.
Okay, I did not know that. But anyway,
Marco came around to what you're saying, but not right away. It was after 18. It was into 19. Rubio started to say, okay, let's work this out. It took a while for Rubio.
Right, but that was a whole different issue than him and Trump directly.
It all had to do with that campaign, and that Bridenstine was so effective for Cruz. Because remember, Marco and Cruz were going at each other too.
Right, but we're not talking about Cruz or that.
General bitterness in not putting that 16 campaign behind them. It took a while. It wasn't right away, but it did happen, like you said.
Okay, wait a minute. We're talking apples and oranges again. You and I seem to have as Big Hand Luke would say, what we have here is a failure to communicate.
Cool Hand Luke, yeah.
Yeah. Because what I'm talking about was Marco and Trump.
I agree.
And nothing with Cruz.
We're
not or Bridenstine or anything like that. You're always throwing something in.
Okay, good point. He could have reconciled quicker with Trump than with Cruz. So
right,
that's
exactly. And we're talking about Trump and Cruz.
Yeah,
Trump and Marco.
What you did say about Rand Paul, I think you got Thomas Massey, Rand Paul. You got some people there that truly are libertarian in philosophy. And they're not going to budge on that.
I understand, but it seems different with Ted. I mean, not with Ted, with who are you talking
Rand.
about? Rand Paul. Yeah. It just seems there's a different. I don't think Rand truly has forgiven or gotten over it. And from the beginning, now I will say this: I don't know who was running everything at the time. But they put Rand in a bad. You remember, he was all the way on the end. You remember
that was a polling thing. He barely made it. And in fact, Trump first thing is, you shouldn't even be on the stage. He says, and I'm not going personal on you, although there's a lot I could. You remember, look at that face.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. So Ted, I keep wanting to say Ted Cruz. Forgive me, Rand Paul.
Yeah,
Rand, I think, from the beginning, was in a bad position. Now, I'm not saying I don't like Rand Paul. I think a lot of Rand's positions are very good positions, and I support a lot of what he stands behind. But I'm just using the example, although Trump went after him early on to a bit, it was nothing like talking about Ted Cruz's father, his wife. I mean,
right.
My goodness.
Rand didn't stick around. Trump kept ramping it up more and more. I mean, literally the point is saying his dad was friends with Kennedy's assassin.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, my God, that was nuts.
Well, the worst one, though, even worse, though, was talking about his wife.
Oh, yeah.
That's something you just don't do, know, or I think you shouldn't do, okay? Or it has never been done to do something like that. So that's why. And then him and Marco, of course, probably because those are the two guys right to your either side. Those are your main competitors.
Yes.
And so, but anyway, what I'm trying to say is, because what we were talking about is Charlie Kirk's funeral.
Yeah.
And to get back on train, we chase these rabbits, and like these giant. I don't know if you've ever seen a jackalope.
Guilty.
But jackalope is a rabbit that is 6 feet tall, and you can ride them. And I don't know if you ever saw those.
Speaking of rabbit trails.
Yeah. I'm on that 6 foot rabbit heading west. If you go to a truck stop out in West Texas, New Mexico, you'll see what a jackalope is. Mm-hmm. Okay, it's these giant rabbits that you can ride. Mm-hmm. But anyway, now what's the people? Wow, I didn't know you could ride rabbits. I'm riding one, like he says right now. We're way off. Anyway, getting back to the Charlie Kirk Memorial.
Yeah,
it was something to behold. It was phenomenal to be able to mix the secular with the holy and actually pull it off. Mm-hmm. I think they did it.
Yeah,
from the worship, they picked the three probably best people to represent different aspects of the church.
Yeah,
you've got Chris Tomlinson, you've got Carrie. Oh, what is her name? Not Lake. No, she's a worship.
Carrie Job.
Carrie Job.
Yeah.
It was Carrie Job. And then, of course, the big guy right now.
Sean Fouts?
No, Brandon Lake.
Yeah. Sean was at the Kennedy Center event.
Okay.
He was part of that.
But anyway, those are probably three of the top representatives of different aspects of the church today, contemporary music and worship music. And they were able to work so well together, and the worship was incredible. The crowd was incredible. I mean, it was really something to behold. And I did not know, I mean, I've known about Charlie Kirk for probably 8 to 9 years, shortly after he got started. But I did not have any clue on how big and respected he really was all over the world. I mean, Australia and Europe, they're having closed circuit thing, people following, chiming in. And I'm thinking, wow, what in the heck, and the big surprise, if you can believe this, even Rosie O'Donnell chimed in on it, giving condolences and being so gracious towards Charlie Kirk and that whole thing. So, I mean, he reached a lot of people.
Yeah. What's his name? Uyghur. Cenk Uyghur, the Young Turks. I commended him a couple weeks ago because he was because he actually had events, him and Charlie Kirk, where they just tried to find things they could agree on.
Right.
And he just was this undermines civil discourse, and it's going to hurt us all. And I was like, thank you, God, for responsible voices on the left, because there aren't that many. And, Cenk Uyghur was one of them. I don't agree with his politics,
right,
but there are things he and Charlie did agree on. In fact, Charlie had him on one of his big Turning Point conferences, brought him out, two of them sat there, and it was amazing how respectful they could be with each other.
And see, that's the thing about Charlie, and that's what makes me angry about the left. There's certain elements of the left that are trying to rewrite the history or biography of Charlie Kirk by pointing accusations of right-wing, radical, racist, homophobic, et cetera. And that's not and never been him. And there's no reason for anybody to do that if they've ever pulled up a YouTube video.
Yeah.
He always puts the people who are against his position to the front of the line, and he sits there and discusses it with them. He never puts them down or
with patience.
Right. In fact,
kindness.
if the people start booing, it's, hey, calm down. We want to respectfully hear this person. And it just shows it brings me back to the whole gay lobby, okay? Especially the radical, the feminist, gay feminists. They're not really feminists. They're just in disguise. But are always attacking conservatives as being the people of hate. There's no hate on our side. Charlie had no hate in him. He always wanted to, let's discuss it. I'm going to reason with you. You're welcome to give us your opinion. Then I'm going to come back with my opinion. See, the left, to them, a good debate is when they talk to somebody that doesn't know what they're talking about, and they can talk rings around them. It's not an equal discourse.
Yeah, what Charlie does when he does convince somebody, and right there in that prove me wrong thing, they say, yeah, I guess. He says, welcome. He doesn't say, ha, I got you, I won. It's welcome. It's like you've come into truth, and I want to be the first to say, welcome. It's that Socratic, honest, seeking the truth. It's
I have to say too, I'm proud of OSU for having had him about a month prior to his assassination.
Yeah.
And I would bet you anything he probably wanted to go to OU.
Well, but I do want to say he gets invited by student groups, and they need the tolerance of the university.
Right.
Most of the time they get no tolerance. Even where he got shot, they were being tolerant to have him on campus.
Oh, yeah. But what I'm saying is, I believe the first choice you would have when you come to Oklahoma would be University of Oklahoma. And I don't know this for a fact, but I would be willing to bet that if there was a group that wanted to invite him to OU, it probably was shunned or shot down. Mm-hmm. And that's why he ended up in Stillwater instead of in Norman.
Yeah.
And Norman, I think he might have had even a bigger impact because of the lack of tolerance in some cases over there.
One person who had been doing the college visits even more so was Ben Shapiro.
Right.
And I saw it was kind of during the beginning of COVID lockdown, he was invited to Berkeley. And it was literally a military assault by Antifa.
Oh, yeah.
It was war.
Right.
And
where they tore up, broke windows out. And
yeah.
That alone, Dave, should show you who the true purveyors of truth and peace and everything are.
Yeah.
The left, they're just pigs. I can't use another word. They're feral pigs. They're not just pigs. They're feral pigs is what they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's sad. And I, of course, now, in retrospect, they said that Turning Point USA is just exploding now. There are new groups that are forming everywhere, which is a good and a bad, because anytime you get that and it starts happening fast, you can always get counterfeits or people coming in that want to use it for the wrong purposes and so forth. Yeah.
Now, I was about 8 years behind you in the whole radical 60s and into 70s generation gap. You got to see it with the eyes of a high school graduate, college student. Compare what we're seeing now to what you saw in those days.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up, because I've always been of the opinion, and still do hold the opinion, that the peace and love generation that started there in the mid to late 60s, early 70s, it was legit. It was legitimate. The flower children, really, you honestly had people that were trying to seek a peaceful end to the war.
That was a big thing.
Right.
Vietnam
the war was a big thing.
Because it was under a draft.
Right.
And the rich kids got to go to college. The poor kids went to Nam.
Yeah, to an extent, yeah.
Because it was, Eddie, you were very fortunate to get to go to college. Back then, they didn't have the Pell Grants, and they didn't have the student loan set up like they
No, that's true. But they did have, like, for example, I'm an only child. Mm-hmm. So they had the only son exclusion, or the oldest son exclusion.
Oh, that was the draft board.
The draft board, right. Yeah. So there were different, if you were a farmer, farmers could get, that was, a lot of people suddenly became farmers.
Yeah.
Because they would.
But they had somewhat nationalized it, because of World War II, your draft board was local, in local politics. Mm-hmm. My dad and my uncle, the only two sons, working on the family lumber business in the family farm, the guy who was their competition in the lumber business said, "You're going to sell all your lumber to me." Said to my grandpa. And he says, "No." And he said, "Well, then your two boys are going to Korea." In less than 6 months later, they were both drafted. And my grandpa said, "Sons, you're both going. You got to serve." But they went to church and told everybody at the church. And eventually the whole community found out. Ran that other guy out of town.
Wow.
And off of the local draft board.
Oh, yeah.
See, because he was using it.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, there's always corruption in everything. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people, they got deferments and things, just weird stuff.
Right.
But yeah, because I was part of the very first lottery.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I remember we were sitting at the student union in one television for the whole dormitory. I mean, it wasn't our dormitory.
Right.
And so we're all down. watching the draft, with a bated breath. And, fortunately, I came out just ahead of women and children. My number was so high, and my brother-in-law saying he was born the same year. Our numbers, it was the funniest thing.
And when you say number, it's dated the year, right?
Yeah, what they do, they take 365 ping pong balls, like in a bingo thing, where it's blowing in the thing, and then it stops, or the lottery today, and then it rolls out, and so if you get number 1, that's January 1, number 2 is January 3, and so what they do, then they put that date up by the 1, they just keep going on down the line. And I think I was 316, and they only ever took the first, I think it was the first 75 or 85 birthdays.
Wow,
were the ones. So if your birthday happened to be one of those, your college deferment, all of that. The only thing I would save you, like only surviving child,
right?
Or if you were sick of some.
So to this peace and love generation,
right?
This is the reality they're facing. And so the whole idea of why are we going to war? Because they're not attacking our country.
Right.
It's some little French colony on the other side of the Pacific.
Yeah, but see, even like the hippie movement, the whole thing. So like I said, the anti-war sentiment, that thing, it was legit. I mean, people had legitimate things. The peace, the free love, all of that. The hippie generation was truly, they were flower children. They were happy to wanted to live at peace with everybody. Mm-hmm. But and this is what I was trying to warn people, everything, any and everything you see, Satan wants to corrupt it. Mm-hmm. And what happened with this, he took an innocent idea. For example, we could hang out, guys and girls, and spend a whole night in some house getting high and doing stuff. And there was no sex, no violence, no nothing. Everybody was just in peace. We'd sit around and talk, listen. We were into music. We enjoyed friendship, okay? Yeah. And after about a year, the second year, all of a sudden, you could see guys, wanted to get over with girls. They would want to get girls high so they could have sex with them. People were stealing the drugs. I had guys where I knew I may have told a story and where there was a stash of weed. Yeah. And the people I went out to get some, they decided to steal the whole deal. And then I got to blame, and that guy's wanting to kill me because I stole their drugs. And I didn't steal their drugs, but they thought I was the only one who knew. Well, no, I was stupid enough to let somebody else know. Yep. And then, example after example, I went to this festival, a music festival, and I rented a tent and equipment to go to the music festival. And then I went back on it was outside of town. I went back in, got cleaned up, and went back. Everything was gone. Oh. Yeah. And I'm responsible because I rented it all. Yeah. And my parents, to their credit, they sent the money so I could pay it off. Yeah. And just so you started seeing the dark side of everything, but everything's like that.
Everybody started out naive, and then eventually
and nice. Yeah, everybody naive is the word because we just took it for granted that everyone is nice as even let's say the anti-race thing. You take Frederick Douglass, Booker T. Washington. Okay, we'll go to the race issue. They legitimately believed in the equality of races. Sure. But they did not believe that integration had to be the answer. Yeah. In order, like, for example, Booker T, he didn't want integration. He wanted the black community to develop within itself to the point where it rivaled the greater society. And so that, for example, I'll give you a perfect example, Asians, Japanese.
I was going there, yeah.
Yeah, the Japanese started out thinking you develop Nissan, Toyota, Hibachi,
Honda,
Hitachi, Honda, but then in the electronics, Panasonic, Hitachi, all of the TIAC, all of these electronics and automotive and everything. All of a sudden, we're going there, and it's something that Booker T. Washington said: when someone brings something to the markets of the world that nobody else has, but everybody wants, they don't long inquire about the race.
Yeah.
They're not going to ask, oh, what color is the person that came up with this? They want to know, I want that, and I don't care what color he is. I want it. And
well,
so
if you wanted brain surgery and you had somebody like, what's his name? Ben
Carson.
Yeah, Ben Carson. You know, and your kid's dying unless they have a successful surgery. You don't care that Ben's black.
Exactly.
You want the best.
You want the best. Right. No, it is. Exactly. And so this is the difference in the Booker T and W.E.B. Du Bois models. And so, but getting back to Charlie Kirk, once again, we have chased this big 6-foot rabbit all over the place. But anyway, Charlie Kirk was renowned all over the world, respected all over the world. But again, it's another example of what we're talking about. You now have people essentially coming in at different angles and trying to trash him with innuendo and some outright lies. And then you've got others like, and I may offend some people, some of our listeners. One of those people that I really have an issue with is Candace Owen.
Yeah.
Candace Owen, it's always about her.
Yeah.
It's always about her. And she did not go to Charlie Kirk's funeral. And she's trying to say she didn't go because of certain people who were there. Hey, if Charlie Kirk was your friend, if he's truly a mentor who got you started, basically, and everything, you don't care about who else is there. You're going to be there. And so I have, honestly, I'll be honest, I have not supported or been a follower or cared for Candace for many years.
She impressed me about 5-6 years ago.
Right, because she was fresh and you were hearing the things she was saying. And there was something, my discernment in the spirit or whatever, it's just, I've always felt there's something not right about her. And then the thing that really notched it for me, do you know the name Kim Klacik? Kim Klacik was the black woman who ran for Congress in Baltimore. And she started appearing on Fox and Newsmax, all these conservative things, and they were starting to promote Kim Klacik. Well, Candace came out and basically accused Kim Klacik of being a prostitute, and her husband is her pimp.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it was really hurtful and attacking Kim Klacik. And to me, it was nothing more than Candace being jealous that another black woman has entered her territory. It was gang stuff. I mean, how, when I was a kid in gang, you don't invade my turf. And it was like Candace took the position, well, the black conservative thing, that's my area, and I'm not going to have you come in here. And
she's looking pretty transparent now.
Right.
Candace.
And well, let's continue though. Her other thing is she's now taking a stand in being anti-Israel. And she comes out essentially, you and I have the position that the covenant that God made with Israel is an eternal covenant, and everlasting, because eternal would be ever, no beginning.
With Abraham and his seed.
Right, right, yeah. I'm going to just say Jew because that's a real Jew, and not
what Paul said. Paul said talked about who is a real Jew.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what Paul said is a real Jew, but that's not all the seed of Abraham either.
Right.
Okay, but what I'm saying is that this would be probably not the right time to do this, to have a discussion on what is the seed of Abraham or what are descendants. The covenant he made was in Jeremiah.
Yeah, I think there are several plausible ways of reading it.
Well, yeah, no. I can't leave this thing because you get. because that's a problem with so many people. They leave out the fact in Romans 11 about being grafted in.
Yeah.
That Christians are grafted in, but the true tree is still Israel.
Well, it's Abraham in his seed.
Well, yeah. Okay, where did the name Israel or Israel
right? No, it's
from Jacob.
Right.
Right. Okay. So it's the seed of Abraham. It went down to
but
Jacob, Isaac.
I don't think it's either nationality or ethnicity. I think it's a spiritual thing.
No, I think it's both. I think it's both. It is. I think you're right and you're wrong, because it's an ethnic thing. Is the original seed in prophecy, and then we are grafted in. Okay, so we now are partakers of the promise to Israel.
Yeah,
but in the end, I believe God is going to bring a revival among the Jews and bring that out. And then,
because right now you can be an Orthodox Jew believing without Jesus. You have no eternal life.
Oh, no, I agree. I agree with that.
It is your spiritual covenant with God as a believer in the sacrifice of Christ.
In the spiritual realm.
Yeah.
But in the physical realm, his covenants are unshakable, unbreakable. That's why Israel will never lose until God finally says you're so far gone, like he did in AD 70.
He's done several times, hasn't he?
Done. Right.
Yeah.
But he always brings them back. And it's the physical Jews. It's not some Christian Jews. It's physical Jews that somehow miraculously, you don't know how, these people are able to do it. So that's what I'm talking about, that everlasting covenant. Because what does he say? If my people who are called by my name do what?
Yeah. Humble
himself and pray. Right. Then he will hear from heaven.
Right.
And so what I think is happening, they're still his, but periodically they forget what that takes, and then until they get into a bad spot, and then when they cry out and say, God, help us, then they come back and he answers.
I want to say, I can agree with everything you're saying here. And at the same time, believe that God could send a Jeremiah to the people of Israel, the nation of Israel today, and tell them God's going to rise up a foreign leader who's going to occupy your nation and take it and haul you away, just like happened under Nebuchadnezzar.
Oh, sure.
If God did it once, he can do it again. And you know what? Sometimes we have to be watchful and say, we could be seeing the judgment of God on somebody else.
Right. But I don't think there will ever be another nation or people occupying Israel.
That's a good point.
In particular,
I agree with that.
In particular, that you and I think agree that we are in the last days.
Yeah. When Elvis Polo, our friend, was here a couple of weeks ago, he said being pro-Israel and being pro-Netanyahu are not the same thing.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
So I'm just saying, even the Jewish citizens know that sometimes they're not doing right.
Well, the effective word there is right.
Yeah.
And some, they're doing what is right in their own eyes.
Yeah.
And I think what the problem is, taking it out of the spiritual realm.
Yeah.
What I don't understand is how we and how quickly it seems the world has turned on this nation when the whole thing that started was this attack, slaughtering hundreds and taking captive another several hundred.
Yeah.
How we can turn that around and take it would be like picking the Babylonians over the original.
Radical left are hate mongers. They're racist. This is just flat out racism, okay? But I'm saying that's one camp. But the John Hagee camp of yay, Israel always does the perfect thing of God. It's the move of God. Israel, no, you can't go there either.
Yeah, see, I think that's a mischaracterization of Hagee and some others, because it seems like that.
Yeah.
Because he's speaking of supporting the nation of Israel. It doesn't mean he agrees with it. It's like my support of Donald Trump.
Yeah.
I am a staunch supporter, and always that's how we end up getting together. But that doesn't mean that when he says stupid stuff, I'm not ready to admit that was stupid stuff.
Well, his first stance on red flag laws is banning bump stocks. There's a number of things Trump was wrong on. So
the bump stock, I'm not so sure that it's necessarily wrong. Well, personally, because I don't think it has anything to do with possession of arms. So I will. You and I, and that's what's beautiful about us. We'll disagree on something like the bump stock deal, but yet at the same time, the overall sentiment we have and the thing that we will agree on is a right to bear arms, that everybody and nobody should limit my right to bear the arms. It's the manner in which we may execute and use those arms would be a point of difference.
Whatever the militia
has. But that doesn't
has.
mean, and it doesn't mean whatever the militia has.
Yeah. Because the right to bear arms is to regulate the militia.
Right, but what does the militia have?
Machine guns.
Because they're legal.
The legal is not the standard you subject the Constitution to.
Well, okay, wait a minute. But see, militias are a state thing, so the militias may be different in every state.
Yeah, there wasn't a standing federal army at the time of the
Okay, all right, so you're talking about the original militia.
Yeah.
Okay.
State militias.
Right.
And
before there was an army, before there was a National Guard, a community. Okay, so you're saying whatever they had then.
Whatever the state had, the people had. To maintain a well-regulated militia.
Right, a well-regulated militia.
The word well-regulated is there for a reason.
See, I love this. This is because I was discussing this with your dear friend, David
Oldham. Hi, David.
This is something that, we might disagree on. Mm-hmm. I don't need everything that our Army has. Mm-hmm. I don't need anti-aircraft missiles. Okay, I don't need bazookas. I don't need a tank. Well, first, logistically, it would be impossible for me to have a tank. Anyway.
Everybody's got a different opinion.
Well, right.
Of what they need.
Right. Mm-hmm. So, but I mean, if you take yours to the logical conclusion, I should be able to have Pershing missiles in my backyard. I should be able to have a tank in my backyard and all of that, which, for lack of a better term, sounds ridiculous. Okay. So, and I know not everybody's going to be able to afford a tank or afford the missiles. It's whatever it is anyway. So what I'm saying is, to me, what we need is for you to defend you, yourself, and your family, your neighborhood. Okay. And if we have,
I don't see that in
the
writing.
Okay. Well, but what? All right. So let's go to the term of well-regulated. See, it sounds to me like you're talking about an unregulated militia.
No. I'm saying it is the people that regulate the government through the Second Amendment.
Yeah, but what does it say? A well-regulated what? It doesn't say government. What does it say? Militia. Right. Okay. So the militia should be...
The militia is the power force of the government.
Yeah. I think we're parsing words
now.
Yeah,
I know.
Because the well-regulated militia, to me, sounds as that it should be organized. It should be pretty much, within reason. In other words, but see, because you've got these guys. There's this black militant group now. I don't know if you've seen
the Sovereign Citizens and that bunch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
I mean,
they're anarchists.
Well, but they're entitled to everything that you just talked about
until they break the law.
Exactly. Exactly.
If you use it to break the law, you lose that liberty.
Okay.
The right to bear arms, you lose that through due process.
Right. So again, we're back to the well-regulated.
Yeah.
And they would think, of course, they'll go beyond your definition of regulated. They'll call racism, or you're just against us because we're black. Right. No, I'm serious.
I know. That's a cheap shot.
That's what's going to happen.
Yeah, but that's garbage.
Yeah, of course it's garbage.
And I'm just saying, the thing is, and this is a debate David and I have had actually with Jeb Bush. David brought it up, Jeb says license is liberty. In other words, if we grant you a license, then you have a liberty. Mm-hmm. And no, license is permission to do that which is otherwise illegal for you to do. And it's up to the state. They have the burden of proof to prove that should be taken away from us by our actions, not by their convenience.
Right. But see, what I always get down to is, if you follow your arguments or David's arguments to their full conclusion, we should not have to have driver's license. Mm-hmm. We should not have to have a pilot's license.
I can make a pretty good argument for that.
But to me, it's hypocritical to say this particular area, no license, no prerequisition, but over here, it's okay to have it.
Right.
So, but anyway, again, we have journeyed from Charlie.
But that's why they beat in our brains as young kids in school that driving is a privilege. Because you know what? You didn't need a license to ride a horse for all those centuries.
Exactly.
Didn't need to walk down the street or to push a buggy or even ride a bike. Well, actually, no, they did start making you have a license for bicycle in some municipalities. But this is a problem we have with it. My dad's first driver's license, he just filled out a form and they sent it to him. They said, we just want it so that we can take it away from you if we catch you drunk driving enough, or other things.
Well, yeah. And as I was explaining to someone this morning, we were talking about when my wife went through her concealed carry class.
Yeah.
Now, I actually enjoyed my concealed, and it's a very conservative person that you and I both know, and I won't mention the name right now, that runs the class.
Yeah.
But anyway, you talk about gun safety through this thing, basically, and then that's the morning. You go for a morning of that. Then they take you to the range, and you actually shoot. Okay, because a lot of people, me included, years ago, before I got into this, I was freaked out about even holding a gun. Because I'm always thinking it's going to explode or shoot me or something. Until you're able to get familiar with it. So anyway, they take us. And they took my wife took it after me, and so we go to the range. And this is no joke. They had a woman there who was in the class. Yeah. And she had, they put a box with a target about 10 feet.
About 10 feet, yeah.
10 feet in front of you.
Yeah.
Which, a blind cow could shoot that without training, And this woman never hit, not even the target, she never hit the box.
Yeah.
And after 50 different rounds and people, okay, no, you got to do this. She could not hit. I mean, you know what I'm talking about. It seems almost impossible, but the impossible was true.
She's terrified.
Either terrified or something. Well, there was probably no reason she should be given a gun. It'd be like giving somebody that can't drive, can't keep the car in the right lane, giving them a driver's license.
Yeah.
So anyway, to make a long story short, there are certain things I don't have a problem with having a certain amount of skill or a certain amount of ability to do it before you give somebody a license to do it.
Yeah, I get that.
So that's it. Other than that, now what I do like is that what Oklahoma and others have done is to basically say, and I guess nationally, you don't have to, in most states, you don't have to register your weapon, so nobody actually knows. There's not a name or anything associated with it. They just know that if something happened with that weapon, they would know where to go to find, if a crime is committed with it, then they would be able to track it back to the dealer and so forth. So now there are states that you and I would totally agree on. They've overstepped that.
Sure.
It'd be like you going to register your car.
Yeah.
And then, but not just register. They want to know your name, your address, your this and your that. And it's got to report everything up front so that if they want to take your car from you, they're able to take your car. So anyway, everything is, it has moderation to it. Should be exercised in moderation. It's like Jesus said, and I always tell my wife this when she gets upset about my speeding, that I can't drive slowly or within the speed limit. I always say, the law is made for man, not against man. Right? And so if...
Is that what your kids told you? Did that work with you when your kids said that?
No, Jesus said that one.
Yeah, I know it.
No, but so and that's why a lot of times I remember I being on Highway 75 and we had there was a lady in the left lane holding up traffic for 2 miles because she wouldn't pull over into the right lane. She was going to make sure everybody drove 60 miles an hour.
Yeah, do-gooder. Yeah.
And fortunately, a cop came along and pulled her over.
Good.
Finally, because she was so bent on making sure everyone
Yeah, and she was violating the law doing that.
Well, and you know how Highway 75 is anyway. I mean, how bad and congested that can be.
Right.
This was between like 41st and 71st.
Oh my God! Yeah,
exactly. She's creating a traffic condition.
Right.
But in her mind, she's the one who's right. She's doing the speed limit.
She's selectively ignorant because the law says that you can only be in the inside lane to pass somebody.
Now, that law is recent.
That was about 8 years ago. Yeah. Charles McCall actually authored it himself.
Right.
But
this was prior to that.
And there's always been the law that if you are impeding the flow of traffic because you're going slower, you have to pull over and let them through.
But that's the thing she didn't have in her mind. She was just going to make everyone
She's on a mission from God. She's going to make that Eddie Huff slow down to a speed she's comfortable with.
Eddie Huff and like 500 other people behind her,
Right.
So, I think, again, the bottom line is the motive. If you do something in the spirit of good for mankind.
And you know what? Good cops recognize that.
Yeah.
They can understand motive.
Oh, I've told you the story. I'm coming from Dallas on a weekend, and I'm ready to get back to Tulsa, and I'm on the what is that from McAllister up, and I'm flying
Indian Turnpike,
Indian Nations, and so I'm flying up there at 90 miles an hour because it's a 70 mile or 75 mile an hour anyway. And so, but I'm doing 90. And then in the middle of the thing this is on a Sunday, late afternoon, and I hit a construction thing and I don't slow down. It's because I knew it was just probably 200 feet long, but it comes over a hill and I'm flying through. And just as I get through, in the middle is parked the highway patrol.
Revenuing.
Well, I guess, but thank God for my black privilege.
Oh, there we go. You see, it's a real thing.
So, sure enough, he pulls me over. He says, "Sir, I clocked you at 90 miles an hour, and it's 45." And that was a traffic construction zone. I said, "Oh yeah, officer, I'm sorry." He said, "Any reason you're going that fast?" I said, "Yeah, I've been in Dallas. It's a late weekend. I'm tired. I'm just ready to get home." He said, "Okay, I can understand that." He said, "Well, I'm going to give you a warning. Could you slow it down for me, sir?" And he gives me the ticket.
God, you're amazing.
Well, the highway patrol, they're nice. I mean, it's the weirdest thing. They are the nicest.
They are
people,
because you know what? They don't have backup. Yeah. In case they irk somebody off and press too many buttons.
Yeah, that's true. But they have guns too. Anyway, my wife wasn't happy. She wanted me. It was like that Chris Rock commercial. Yeah, that's right. Beat him. Because she, as soon
Was
as,
she in the car with you?
yeah, she was.
Oh my God!
And so, of course, I go through there and here's the cop, and she says, "Aha!" She's ready. Aha! I told you, you can't go this fast.
Oh!
And then when I get away, it didn't matter that I just saved $200, in fines. It was the message to be sent. And when the cop let me go, it was like, oh no, he got away with it again. It's one of those deals. Anyway, man, we been an hour and 30 minutes on Charlie Kirk, and it's nothing about Charlie Kirk. Anyway, let's wrap it up to say it was a wonderful ceremony, and long live the spirit of Charlie Kirk.
Yeah. I do want to say something here. Yeah. The reason I brought up the whole hippie thing, rabbit trail, get down, because within a few years, if you've seen the movie Jesus Revolution, you know what we're talking about. Because a great revival hit that generation.
Right.
You were a part of it.
Right.
And it's so many of us are praying for revival because we feel like we're at the point where our nation needs intervention.
Yeah. And see, and that's a part of it, because it was the people with the pure heart that followed the hippie movement that were involved in it that became the Jesus Revolution. Okay. Yeah. And so, there were those, like I said, that came in later and wanted to corrupt the whole deal, could use it for money gain,
Well, and there were cults too.
Drug pushers.
A lot of cults.
Well, yeah, honestly, that's true. The Children of God was the main one.
So
the
many.
Way, and there's so many of those. But anyway, at its heart, in fact, I'll tell you this, to speak of the Jesus Revolution, our church came out of Calvary Chapel, right? And one of the guys, original people there in that time with Chuck Smith and Lonnie Frisbee, he came and actually grounded our church, and our branch of it. And the people that were there when I got saved, and the ones who were there since afterwards, through that whole movement, through the whole deal, 98% are still really dedicated believers. Yeah. And it shows in the Calvary Chapel. If you go back and look at the Calvary Chapel people, I would say probably 90% are still on fire for the Lord today.
I think you were recently at another funeral down in Texas. Was that somebody else?
No, it was a fraternity
unrelated
brother. But even like, do you remember the group Poco?
Yeah.
And one of the main guys who had come before from, I believe, Buffalo Springfield, Richie Furay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Richie Furay. He got saved through Calvary Chapel, and you would never think a guy like that, it would, end up sticking. But he not only remained with the Lord, he's now pastoring up in Boulder, Colorado.
Yeah, nice.
And so that's just one of the many stories of people that sometimes you would never expect to think of it. And he came out of that whole generation.
So this is what I'm hoping for, what we're seeing.
The new revival, yeah.
Yeah, right. I really am praying for that. So
I think you will see it. In fact, I'm sure you're already seeing it. I just pray that it doesn't get corrupted too soon. It's still just at the germination point where we're starting to see an explosion of young people that realize they need more.
Yeah.
They want more that the secular world cannot give them.
Particularly those ones that I'm seeing, the Antifa types, some people would call them dead enders. I mean, the people who are literally murdering little children at Catholic school and then shooting themselves. That's a dead ender.
Well,
a fatalist.
Right, but that's a certain class of individual that other people in that class don't want to admit is a thing.
Right.
Gay or bisexual, transsexual, that seems to be a segment of our society, which is right up your alley, the mental issues. These are mentally deranged people somehow that have they have been so indoctrinated to the fact that certain entities are against them, and they don't realize that you're really angry with yourself, and these people are pointing to, and it's magnifying the problem you're in to the point you're ready to kill.
Yeah, the kid in Minneapolis under transgender, treatments.
Nashville.
He literally put in his notes he regrets ever going down that path.
Nashville, you go to the Nashville, her manifesto that they still have not released. Did you ever get to see it? Because I think someone...
Yeah, a newspaper published it, and somebody got punished for releasing it.
Right. I wish I would have been able to, was aware at the time until they...
Oh, I'm sure you'll find it on the internet.
You think so?
Oh, I know so.
I would love to. But I guarantee you that it was a similar type of thing, her hatred for... And it really gets me that they're picking on the most innocent of our society,
and
children.
They're using hate as a tool. They're telling you all these people have done these terrible things to you. They are against you. They want to do this to you.
They hate you. Yeah, right.
Right. And they're preaching this message of hate.
And all it's doing is creating hate on the other side. Right.
Yeah. Right. So this is a tough thing. There is a lot of news we need to cover.
Yeah. Let me just one last thing about that. Mm-hmm. If you ask those people, those same people, if philandering or cheating on your spouse, having multitude of women, et cetera, is wrong.
Yeah.
They would be the first ones to say, yes, it's wrong. Or in the same-sex thing, is if you're cheating on your boyfriend, the girl's cheating on your girlfriend, is that right or wrong? Well, it's wrong. Well, they're quick to agree with there's something wrong with that, but not the fact that homosexuality is not the prescribed method either. Right. So anyway, that's just a point there that they can't see that what their lifestyle is not a God ordained lifestyle, and it's me, and you. You know, what's fair for me is fair for me, but what's fair for you is not fair.
Well, it's the assumption whatever feels right is right.
Right. Yeah, but more than feels right, whatever I decide in my mind is right is, because inside I don't think it feels right. I think the conviction remains, and that's the thing that causes them to go over the line.
Yeah.
All right. Enough. Go ahead.
Big news happened.
Big news.
Ryan Walters, who's made a lot of news and kept a lot of the newspapers and TVs with something to talk about or make up about, has announced that he is leaving his post to go to work for a education reform think tank. And so when I came in the office this morning, I right away hit you with that, and we both agreed we need to reach out to John Cox. John Cox ran a few times and is a Republican and ended up right behind Ryan Walters in vote getting. So I called him this morning. And John Cox will be here next Saturday. It's on the schedule.
While I like Ryan very much.
Yeah.
I support Ryan.
Yeah.
But I voted for John Cox initially and supported him. You remember back when they were both in here. I just felt John was more seasoned and had certain skills and so forth to navigate this whole deal.
Yeah.
And he's always been a conservative at heart. There's certain people that were registered Democrat that were truly Republicans at heart. And you have now Republicans that are truly Democrats at heart in our state legislature. You see that.
Yeah.
And probably nationally as well. But I think Ryan, while I like him a lot and his views line up exactly with where we are, I just felt there was some immaturity, not that he was too young or whatever, but there was a certain political immaturity that he didn't know how to play the game well enough.
Yeah.
And not, it almost sounds a little bit trite for me to say play the game. because it shouldn't be a game. But there is a method. There is a certain wisdom on how to enter a certain arena and be able to be the most effective. And that's what I was talking about. Right. That I feel he decided to come in like a bull in a china shop, and I'm going to do this, rather than slowly easing into it and then eventually allowing things to follow. Yeah. And so, and with him, it was always the headline, pushing a headline, Bibles in the classroom, this and that, and that, when his real role was bringing our education from 49 to at least into the 30s, and then eventually into the 20s. Yeah. And if certain statistics are right, I don't know if I agree with them, we're supposed to now be 50th. Right. Instead of going up, we've gone down.
Here's the thing. Last time Ryan Walters was in this room, sitting in the third chair, I asked him, can you see a way that John Cox could be part of your administration? He says, I absolutely would love that. Now, talking to John lives very rural eastern Oklahoma, Pegs, I believe. And I called him this morning. He says, I got to mow my lawn sometimes. He caught me out on the yard mowing. But John did agree that I could say this. John would like to be of any and all help he can to the Stitt administration in filling this slot until our next election, which of course is next November. So, Governor Stitt, if you're listening, John is ready to help. And I did get permission to say something to that effect. I hope I did well, John. If I didn't, you'll be in here next Monday or next Saturday to correct or elaborate.
Yeah, I'm not sure yet whether that's a good thing or a bad thing.
For John Cox?
No, not John Cox, but us mentioning it like this. In other words, time will tell. We'll see. But no, I agree with you. He would be a good. The best thing about him is his maturity and the manner he would have. It's not that he wouldn't do many of the same things that Ryan has tried to do. He would just do them in a different and, to me, a more diplomatic way.
When I said to John, I said, I think we need a time of healing and unifying. He was adamant in agreement on that. We just got to quit this. It's happened every which way. I'm blaming the media. I'm blaming the unionist and the establishment folks, the people who are making their cut out of it, whether it's the pension fund people or all of them. But I think that would be a good thing for John. I think it would be a good thing for the state. I can't think of a better person to step in and finish the term. Eddie, can you?
No, but the governor, I'm sure, already has people in his mind and so forth. I'm looking beyond at the next election, because, see, now the onus is on the governor. Yeah. If the governor puts somebody in there and it's not the right person, it's going to make it hard for a Republican to win, regardless, because the Democrats and everybody's going to be fired up about it. So it really puts some pressure on the governor to pick the right person. Like you and I agree that John Cox would be a perfect person. I think so. And then for the next, but it's politics. Yeah. And there's somebody out there that, and I'm just going to be really blunt and down with it to say it too often ends up being related to donors. Scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. No matter how good the motive is, and there's always different motives and different people trying to get in and da-da-da-da. So we will just have to trust the governor to do the right thing and hopefully, prayerfully, not be influenced by this person's connections here or there or financially or this and that. A lot of times it's not even connected to financial issues. It's just power and influence.
Yeah.
And what can you do for me down the road? Because
Yeah.
the governor is term limited, so he's out.
Right.
And
So every appointee is somewhat term limited too, because he just picked 3 people for to fill spots in his administration, and he had to go back to find old people who had left and say, "Could you come back?" And it's a little bit harder to take somebody and say, "Could you quit your career path, what you're doing now, your current place, and come over and be part of my administration?" But you only have about 14 months, and then you're going to lose your job. How many people want to do that? How many top level people want to do that?
Right. No, exactly.
So, but I do want to say this. It just dawned on me now. Remember, I kind of pushed John Cox last time he was in the studio on the whole fact of you're coming to the Republican Party after being the Democrat nominee. And how do I know you're a real Republican? Now, here's where I want to look at it. The way he responded, he said, when I first registered to vote, I registered Republican. My parents were Republican. But he's lived in a county. He's lived in Little Dixie. He's lived in an area that was just, if you wanted to get to vote in any primary that means anything, you had to be registered Democrat. I think he would probably say maybe he was Democrat in name only for all those years.
And Dino, yeah.
Yeah. And now he got to come back to the Republican Party of his youth.
Right. No, I can support that totally because, my family came from El Paso, Texas. And you talk about Democrat.
Oh, yeah.
You got a whole West Texas there, that whole area, especially on
the whole Rio Grande,
on
too.
the Mexican, right, Rio Grande Valley, right on the border. They, if you're not a Democrat, you can't get elected to anything.
Exactly.
So what all of the Republicans do, they're all registered as Democrats. I mean, my pastor and everybody I knew down there was registered as Democrat, so they could vote in the primary. And then when the general election came around, they voted Republican.
Right. Then they switched back. I literally was down in.
No, you didn't have to switch back. They could, because once the general come, you can vote for whoever you want.
But I was down in Pushmataha County. This is about 8 years ago, and at the county GOP convention, all 12 of us in that county at the convention, and the lady said, this was like March. She said, "Now, pretty soon here, you're going to have to re-register as Democrats for the primary in June. And then after that, you can re-register back to Republican." Because there was no meaningful participation in the primary.
Right.
Unless you did that.
If your future is to never run for office, that's a great thing to do.
Yeah.
The problem is if you do it and you ever have aspirations of running as a Republican, the first thing they will pull out and use against you is the fact that you were a great example is your buddy McCall.
Charles McCall, yeah.
That he was a Democrat up until a month or so before he first ran.
From Atoka, Little Dixie.
Right. And then all of a sudden he becomes a Republican. We still don't know totally if he's a Republican in name only because some of his legislative behavior has indicated that he's not fully on our side of the aisle yet.
Yeah.
So,
I do want to say, Eddie, your campaign last year, we looked at the demographics of all these precincts it's majority Republican. Why wouldn't a Republican win? And I'm driving through this precinct here that your office is part of, and I realize on paper they're Republican. But the thing is, it's getting to be an older neighborhood. The older people get, the closer to Medicare, the closer. It affects a lot of people. It's a dollars and cents thing.
A bigger problem for this area here, this square mile, 2 square miles, actually.
Yeah.
And actually, to tell you the truth, there are more Democrats in this district than there are Republicans. So this is a primarily Democrat still. But so if you go to 41st to 51st,
it's Democrat.
Democrat, and then from 51st to 71st, it's primarily Democrat. Where we start leveling out and picking up ground is south of 71st. And by the time you get to 101st, it's primarily Republican. So, and especially in this area here, this square mile and the next one, it's loaded with school teachers.
Yes.
And there, it makes you a point, whether Republican or Democrat, they have been conditioned to believe that a Republican is anti-teacher. And so they're opposed to that. So
right, but here's my point, Eddie. If you're dependent on the government, you're likely going to become a Democrat. If the government is dependent on you, you're likely a
well, even people that stay Republican and claim the Republican, like I have a friend, and just the most right-wing person you could ever imagine, okay? He's a bit older than you and I. And he came to the issue of Social Security. And him saying, well, so-and-so, some Republican candidate, wants to take away my Social Security benefits or do this or that. And it's like he was letting his personal benefit override the real questions that face us. So it became, what did somebody say? All politics is local.
Yeah.
Because when it comes to me, I'm going to lose Social Security benefits. I'm going to lose my tax benefits, whatever benefit it might be. Republicans are some of the most hypocritical people.
Selfish is the word.
There you go.
It's because he says it's what's best for me.
For me.
I'm voting for, not what's best for my country.
Right.
Which means I'll sell out my country for me.
Yeah, that's true. And that's where we are today, whereas you used to have some true blue. In fact, there's Democrats today that I would say are more Republican in mindset than many Republicans. And it's sad. It's a sad thing to say. You're old school non-racist, I know, but your old school Democrats that really believed that the Democrat Party is the party of the people, for the people.
Yeah, like your Union Democrat,
right?
That kind of person.
Yeah. And so, nowadays we've gotten to this thing where, in fact, it's really coming to fruition in the black community. You're getting a lot of black Americans. Fortunately, there are a lot that are truly coming to the Republican Party for the Republican Party's ideals. But the ones that are trying to get in office, you see a lot of them running for office that still have their foot. Couldn't we? They still have their foot over into the Democrat Party.
The Du Bois Democrat Party.
Exactly. They're still holding grudges. They're still upset that think that the bulk of the Republican Party is racist. I'm just here because if I can get anything done.
Yep.
It's kind of what the reverse of what we were doing, that, to get anywhere, to get anything done, you've got to run as a Democrat or pretend to be a Democrat. And they're doing it now the other way around.
Yeah.
And that's disappointing. It's hard to discern these days who truly has the Republican principles in mind and isn't in it for, as you said, for themselves.
Yeah.
It's all about me. And,
right.
the voters are the same. I mean, you can go out and promise these people anything, and if it sounds good, then, that's my man. I'm going to get more Social Security benefits. I'm going to get more whatever benefits it might be.
Well, you're predicting next week's headline for a show, because there is a looming government shutdown that we may be dealing with, and it may be taking up all the oxygen in the room by next Saturday.
Yeah. And, here's what's funny. There really doesn't need to be a government shutdown. See, if the Republicans would, for lack of a better term, man up and march in solidarity as the Democrats do, we wouldn't have a shutdown.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have many of the problems we do. But for some reason, while the Democrats can every time be counted on 100% to fall in line with whatever the leadership wants, Republicans seem to pride themselves more in, I stood up against, in fact, I've seen it used in campaigns. I stood up against the speaker. I stood up against this. I stood up against Ronald Reagan. I stood up against Donald Trump. Yeah. Like that's some, some positive thing. No, it's not a positive thing, because basically what you've done is given more power to the other party. And if you're a true Republican, now, if it's something that is totally egregious and should not be followed, then yes, you got to stand up against it. But you should take care of that behind closed doors and before you get to the point of where it becomes crucial.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right. Well, I know you want to wrap up, don't you?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Well, you were playing the music there. I didn't know what. Those of you watching on Rumble, you are now listening to us. I just realized I was supposed to hit the microphone on, so we are going to be adding your audio chip to this and posting it up on with Rumble. Sound on Rumble. Yeah.
Oh, so they've been just reading lips.
Yes. I'm sure they've tuned out. But anyway, next week's show will be better.
I'm glad it's you this week. Because every other week it's me.
Yeah, it's this
how long have we been doing? 3 years?
Oh, we started our 5th season that last summer.
So in 5 seasons, it's always been me that didn't hit a button or hit volume. Or in fact, I don't even know if we're on now.
I'm a little bit concerned about how powerful your outlet is.
You think it's too powerful?
It might be. I don't know. It's bouncing the top.
I'm looking at the well. I think it's supposed to turn red if we're overmodulating.
Oh, gotcha. Good.
So, but anyway, and I think it sounds so loud. Apparently, it may be in the headphones too. But anyway, wow, it's a long time.
We got some national news.
Yes, sir.
Well, actually, it's global news I'm thinking of. Trump announced yesterday we could have an end of the war in Israel. Evidently, they agreed in principle on some things, and Trump has not officially announced it. He said, hey, it looks like we got framework.
The interesting about Donald is, for example, Syria. Okay, the Syrian new leadership there is not exactly who we would like to be the leaders of Syria.
Yeah. But
he is willing to give them a chance. If you're ready to play ball, we will play ball.
Yeah.
Kim Jong-un, if you're ready to play ball, we will play ball. And of course, you're going to have those who are going to try him and see if they can get over or play games or whatever. But eventually, and I think we're at the point where people are realizing homie don't play that, I guess is a good way of saying it, that if you stab him in the back or you do something, he won't forget. He'll figure out a way to get you back. It's the old New York, the New York way, right? So, but I do hope, because what he's trying to do, he's trying to get the entire region to essentially agree that we're going to, in other words, he wants them to be as nationalistic as he wants America to be.
Yeah.
In other words, he is for America first. He wants Syria to be about Syria first.
Yeah.
He wants Israel to be about Israel first. Egypt, you name the country, it's you first. Germany, England, France, be French first, be German first, be whatever. And if you can do that and mind your business and make your country as great and as strong as possible, that's one of the problems with Palestine. Okay, what we call Palestine, which really translates Philistia, but it's Israel. The whole area would be considered Israel. And the problem with it, it's become balkanized. In other words, people want to make it the Israeli part. They want to partition it. Another part is the Palestinian state. It'll never survive. It cannot survive that way, because the Palestinian state, let's say we carve out the Gaza Strip. We've already done that, basically. What we've done is created a new segregation. In other words, this is Palestinian Arab only. This is Jewish only. This is this or whatever. And no, the only way that it will truly survive is for it to be one nation. And so, because, that's why everybody is fighting this two-state solution. They've been talking about the two-state solution to form a state of Palestine within the boundaries. And it just can't work. A house, as Jesus said, as Abraham Lincoln quoted, a house divided against itself cannot stand, and or cannot long endure, if you want to put it that way. But that's the problem. And the UN is trying very hard, all the nations around, because they know exactly what's going to happen. They already know what's going to happen, and they're not only not against it, they're for it. They won't admit it, but they're really, and it's like the integration lobby here in America. It was the integration lobby. Now it's become more of the black lobby because they're segregating again. They want civil rights to become not civil right. They want it to become a civil sledgehammer to hit the ruling government. And we see that you cannot let a government be ruled by people that don't know how to rule, right?
Yeah.
Because, for example, Baltimore, Washington, D.C., Trenton, New Jersey, Camden, New Jersey, Philadelphia, you name it, all up and down that coast.
Sure.
Chicago, every city that has been turned over to black leadership is in a mess.
Yeah.
Not because they're black, but because the people are foolish and ignorant.
Yeah.
The people running it. And here's the other thing. They have been primarily put up by white people, puppet masters in the background that run them with a purpose of destroying America.
Yeah.
This is what I don't understand, how people don't see this.
Yeah.
These are black puppets that are put up by nefarious white entities, often communists, pure communists, trying to destroy our nation and make America a communist rule. And so, and it's the same at the UN. It's the same, nationally, internationally now, a lot of it is an Islamic backed thing, the Muslim Brotherhood, which wants to put all these people in power so that eventually they can slowly take over there. You've got these other cities that have been put up by liberal, progressive, or communist, socialist, communist entities that want the cities ruled by these people so they can control them and turn everything into a socialistic state. The sad thing is too many people have been convinced through greed, through frustration, that this is the way we're supposed to go. They have this grievance that Booker T. Washington talked about, right?
For sure.
And so it's not rocket science. We just need to keep this in front of us, the fact that these entities that are behind, George Soros is one, and you've got the
WEF.
WEF, and then I was going to, so in a smaller level, the people behind Progressive Insurance, Peter, whatever his name is, his son. And so you've got all these entities, and for some reason, I don't know why the younger generation, up until now, I think we're going to see a switch now, which is hallelujah, but are sucked into this and can't see this. And a lot of the older generation is the same. So anyway, but that's where we are, Dave. And I continue to pray for our nation. I believe we do see a move of God, and it may be the final move.
Yeah.
This may be the final revival before things get really bad. We enter into the true tribulation period. So I know I'm getting spiritual or might be getting weird for some people, but I believe that's really the truth.
You are coming in pretty hot. I just pulled up the video. It's kind of muffled.
Really?
I don't know if our basic output, if it is what
the master.
I'm concerned about. Yeah.
Okay.
So there we go. Welcome those of you watching us on Rumble. This is our first show on Rumble, and we are working out the bugs. And so by the end of the show, it'll be good. So what I wanted to get back to you first started talking about...
Well, I just went through this whole monologue and diatribe, and the whole time you've been tuned into your phone.
No, just for the last minute and a half.
Okay.
I thought I better make sure they are hearing us, and I heard it, and it was really.
Well, they should just turn their volume down. I'm just kidding.
No, it was distorting.
I know. I'm kidding.
Well, here's the thing. Your first point about Trump reaching out to Syria, which was ISIS bunch, right?
Mm-hmm.
So. If we go back to post-World War II, Lebanon had been a colony of France. France was ordered, hey, no, you give everybody their liberty, just like we bled and died in Europe for you guys to get your liberty, right? And that's why France then pressured England. Well, you got to keep your promise to, what was the guy's name? The World War I Jewish guy who liberated the Holy Land.
Ben-Gurion?
No, it was before that. It was, I forget the guy's name. But anyway, is England got pressured into, you got to make a homeland for Israel, for the Jews, right? So anyway, Lebanon, which had been Christian and Muslim, but they got along okay. Then Syria became this tyrant and eventually started controlling Lebanon politics. And then all of a sudden you had Iran overthrow the Shah, and they become very hostile. Their influence eventually enveloped Syrian influence in Lebanon. I think one of the objectives that Trump was doing here is trying to make sure Syria is not controlled by Iranian politics and terrorism and that. And I think what he really wants is them to, out of just pride for their sovereignty, to not become a tool of some other nation like Iran.
Yeah, and I think deep down every nation wants that.
Mm-hmm.
But the real problem, see, we look at Islam and we think it's a monolithic, singular deal, but you remember you've got your I can't think of the different Sunni, the Sunni
Shiite.
And the Shiites, and so you got division there, and even within you got more divisions, but they've been able to have one enemy, and that's the United States,
right,
and the Western culture, and so everything comes under that. So if we ever would allow Islam to take the senior role in America, you would start seeing the Sunni and Shiite issue here, and people, it's a demonic, I hate to say, a demonic religion, okay?
Yeah.
The people, because in the Christian religion you have denominations, but we don't blow each other up. Mm-hmm. We don't kill each other unless you get some weird cult out here or something. But in Islam, it's nothing for them to try to kill each other for dominance. Mm-hmm. And because it was founded on the wrong principles, okay? It was founded on murder and subjugation.
It's evil. It's control. It's, I want power, and I get power by taking away your liberty.
Right.
And it's control.
Yeah.
And listen, Christianity is not immune to the same temptations.
No, but on a micro level, not on the macro level. The Islam tries to do it from the top down, where Christianity does it in the small, on a smaller scale.
In ages past in Europe.
Oh, you're talking about,
historically,
the Inquisitions and things like that.
Exactly. exactly.
Yeah, and the Protestant Reformation.
Well, in Northern Ireland,
Well, that's true. Yeah, but see, in that, and it should show you, because if you look at Northern Ireland, what was that? It was not truly a spiritual thing; it was a political thing.
Catholic versus Protestant.
Right, but in name only.
Yes.
Yeah. Sino and Pino.
Yeah.
Pino.
Yeah. Whigs and Tories.
Yeah. And so, but there was nothing really spiritual or religious about it. It was just like, we don't want you, you're not the boss of me, right? Is what the thing is.
So in the summer of 72, the Kiwanis in Minnesota, Kiwanis Club, they sponsored like 800 children from Northern Ireland to just come spend the summer in Minnesota.
800?
Yeah.
Wow, that's a lot.
And 2 of them were brought to my hometown. One of them, Tony McClargan.
McClargan.
Yes. Tony lived a block from me, and we hung out that summer. He was Catholic, stayed with a Catholic family. And there's a girl, I forget her name, Elizabeth something or other, but she's Protestant, stayed with a Protestant family. And we would all hang out and do things together. He and she, 2 12-year-olds, got along great. Because it really wasn't them.
Right.
They didn't hate yet. They hadn't been taught to hate yet.
Yeah. Yeah. It reminds me of being in Philadelphia. I may have told this story, how Philadelphia was segregated. People didn't know it. Boston, the whole eastern seaboard, northeast. And so I went to Catholic school. I happened to go to Catholic school. And so I had the Irish, the Quigleys, and then I had the Manzanos, the Italians, something. And so I lived in the kind of not the projects, the black area. It was the low-income area, my aunt and uncle. So I decided to take my cousin ice skating. We were going to go ice skating. And to get to the ice skating, there was this white neighborhood, and we had to go through it or around it. So I'm ignorant. I try to go through it. I'm going through there with our ice skates. And then all of a sudden, these kids see 2 black kids coming. And so they come and start yelling and cussing at it and they're throwing rocks at, stoning us actually out of the neighborhood. So we had to run out of the neighborhood and go all the way around. But what was funny, when I looked down across the street to see this group, several of them were boys that I went to Catholic school with. And I'm sitting right next to them, and it's almost a reverse situation what you're talking about, where in school we were buddies, we talked to each other, we laughed together and everything. But when I went into the neighborhood, I was not allowed. I was just a nigger, and and they're a honky, whatever. But I'll never forget that I could coexist so easily in school during the day, but on weekends or evenings, we did not associate with each other.
That happened to me once. It was kind of funny. Went to the same public school as all these kids, but there was a wealthy suburb on the north, just outside of town to the north, called Riverwood. And once I got my driver's license, I could drive. That means I could go into other neighborhoods. So I had this friend up there in the wealthy neighborhood. I went by to see him. Nobody's around. And I'm talked to his little brother. I said, man, nobody's around here. I said, other times I've been here. He says, who? I said, well, Dina and Katie, those girls, I'd see them. So we left, and about 10 minutes later, a pack of boys and girls, now they're all high school, right? They come walking by, they're all hanging out, and this little kid brother says, hey, Dina and Katie, David Van was just here. He's asking about you. Oh, did that make the boys jealous? All of a sudden, the next Monday at school, I get slammed against the locker by Steve Hone, and Eric Nicolai's just as mad. You leave our girls alone. They're not your girls. They're our girls.
Yeah, well, like I've always said, ultimately it's not about race.
Yeah.
It's about class.
Yeah,
it is.
That's what ours was.
And black. And
I wasn't uppity enough.
And color is just an identifier. You know, I probably talked about this before that. So if I were white in the 1800s, and I was from low class, and I always use England as the example. So in England, so if I was a low class Scottish English person, and then I come from a certain class, but if I study and start speaking the King's English properly and so forth, and dress a certain way and hold myself in a certain way, I could move 50 to 100 miles away and introduce myself as the son of Duke so-and-so and so-and-so. Yeah. Nobody would care because they're impressed by how refined I am. And I established myself there, you know, with a business, whatever I'm going to do, work for somebody, work my way up, and then and my children now, I've elevated not only myself. So what I'm saying is if you were white in that society, you could always move to a different stature. If you were black, you can't, because wherever you go, you take your blackness with you. Yeah. So we were relegated to perpetual, not slave class, but peasant class, basically. And that's why it was easy to always, because for some reason, mankind is always feeling it necessary to have someone beneath them. Yeah. The low man on the totem pole.
We pick on Arkansas.
Yeah. And, you know, like I've probably talked about this a few times. Black people and Mexicans or Hispanics do not like each other. Yeah. Because neither one wants to be the low man on the totem pole. That's right. And so they think, you know, basically everybody's accepted that the white man is at the top.
You know, I was doing business, this is like 30-some years ago, down in a little town called Wewoka. You know, it's next to Wetumpka. Right. Okay. So, and I had to hire some people to run this store that we opened up. And I said, tell me about the community. And they said, well, you know, you got whites, you got your tribal members, and you got your blacks and your freedmen. And I said, well, who's the freedmen? I'd never heard of that. He said, you don't know what the freedmen are? I said, no. He said, well, that fellow, if they're walking, that's a freedman. I said, he's black. Well, yes, but the black don't associate with the freedmen. I said, why not? He said, because the freedmen were slaves of Indians, right? Whereas the rest of the blacks were slaves of whites, and they looked down on those who were slaves of Indians.
Yeah, because the Indians were a lower class.
Yes! It's class. It's all class.
It is totally class, and it's the silliest thing in the world. But like I said, the only difference why black people have been oppressed longer than everybody else is because you can identify them. Right. Whereas white people, and for example, it used to be the same with Hispanics and with Asians, but because so many of them basically impressed with their education level and into positions that are necessary, you know, the technical area, even nuclear science, electronics, computers, etc., medicine. You know, how many Asian doctors are out there nowadays? Right. You know, you go out and in India, you have these Indians, East Indians, that the Patel family. Yeah. If you go to one of these smaller, lower end hotels, and they moved up now to the bigger ones, the chances are 9 out of 10 that's going to be owned by an Indian. Yeah. And in fact, I remember putting this to a test. We were traveling across country. And we stayed at I don't remember, it was a Super 8 or La Quinta or something. It might have been La Quinta. Yeah. And I said, is Mr. Patel in? I don't know. It was a town going across country. Yeah. He said, no, Mr. Patel is not here today right now. Should I give a message or do I need to go? I said, no, it's okay. I just wanted to see if there was a Mr. Patel. I was just testing. Sure enough, yep, Mr. Patel owned the hotel, you know, and not, it's not only an East Indian, but it's a clan. They're all Patels.
Yeah.
Still today, and I think the Patels now are owning the major interest in Holiday Inn or Hilton's or something.
Yeah.
But this is just a niche they have of hotel management.
Yeah.
And so, anyway, it's just racial dynamics are one of the craziest things. And I always keep trying to tell people it's not about race.
Yeah, but you got one trump card you haven't said. It's the Larry Home factor. Explain that.
Oh, if you're black and you're rich, you're not black.
Yeah.
If you're black in if you're rich in anything, you're not whatever that is.
Right. But the equivalent here, if you're a win and you're a professional who's exceeded, or you're valedictorian or whatever, if you've outperformed the rest of us, then I think that's almost like being rich.
Well, yeah, because if you outperform the rest of us, chances are very strong you're going to be rich. I mean, that's the other thing, because what they say, knowledge is power, and it's probably power because knowledge also brings income, and it raises your stature and all.
Sure, it does.
Yeah, we've been doing a whole lot of sociological discussion.
Yeah,
here, but it's true. It's all. People have to get away from this idea of race. In my book, I was talking about there's no such thing, real thing as race.
People can be bigots about just about anything. It takes no creativity to be a bigot about race, because all you have to do is look at somebody's skin tone or color or shade,
right,
and then have a judgment of them. Well, the problem is your attitude of bigotry, period.
Well, yeah, but see, here's the deal. If you pull race out of it, I was talking about this PBS series of Hallmark series called Poldark. Love that. We watched the whole deal. All the series was like several years. It was like 3 or 4 years worth of program. Poldark. If you get a chance, check it out. Or rent it or somewhere. But anyway, so Poldark is about a guy who went away. He came from a well-to-do family, and he goes off to fight in the Revolutionary War in America.
Yeah,
and he was engaged to be married to this other rich young woman. But he goes over and serves in the British Army during the American Revolution. He gets wounded.
Yeah.
And eventually he comes back home. But when he comes home, they thought he was dead. And then his family, his father had died. And I think it was his brother that was supposed to be running things. But anyway, so he comes back, and his girlfriend, of course, now, thinking he was dead, ends up becoming engaged to the neighbor, the other rich neighbor, who is really one of the slimiest. I mean, if I saw that guy today, I would hate him. Just he played his role so well.
Yeah.
And but anyway, the whole deal, and there wasn't a black person even known to be alive at that part of England, and it just showed. They called the rich people, as opposed to the commoners, the betters. In other words, we are your betters. We're better than you are, essentially. We're better than you are.
Yeah.
And the way they treated the common British person at the time, if you weren't in the lord class, the noble class, you were nothing. And it was truly something to see how brutal and how horrible they were and what they were able to get away with treating. The other thing, another show, for example, that is very telling is this really famous one about the butlers, the servants in
Downton Abbey.
Yeah, Downton Abbey. That's right. And like the servant class in this house, they lived in a world of their own.
Yeah,
I mean, it was a total. And they were just happy as could be to be in that world and the way they associated with their betters again. But there was no race or color involved, but these people knew that is their status, and they needed to stay in it. Mm-hmm. And as long as they swim in these waters, life was good.
Yeah.
But as soon as you try to go up, or from up going down, there was always some issue.
Even, the pre-Civil War slavery, you had your field slaves and the house slaves.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great example. Yeah. Yep.
But I want to say, if you're professing Christ, if you're honestly decide, do I profess Christ? Good. Then this is the message. You are a chosen people, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, God's special possession, that you may declare the praises of him who called you out of darkness into his wonderful light. Once you were not a people, but you are the people of God. We shouldn't be looking down. It is devilish. It is carnality. It is denying who God called us to be even recognizing these things and allowing ourselves to be influenced by them.
I agree with that.
I don't hear you.
Unless you're a Democrat.
Okay. Unless you're a Democrat.
I said, I agree with you unless you're a Democrat.
Yes.
No, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Or from Arkansas.
No, I don't have a problem with Arkansans. I think Arkansas has some good people. One of my best friends is from Arkansas.
Yeah.
California now we may have an issue, but
is that how you show that you're not a bigot? Is one of my best friends it's like
some of my best friends are black. Yeah, some of my best friends are black too.
Yeah,
but no, everybody always. I don't know if I ever told you a story. As an insurance agent, I have the whole gamut of range of people. So there was a guy from El Salvador, and his name was Juan. And so he was a hardworking guy. I mean, and I had been working with him for several years, and I would give him tips and I tell him, you need to move your kids from East Central to Union. And so, he was in there one. And so we're talking about it. And on this day, I happened to show him, he was asleep in his truck because he got off at like 5 in the morning.
Yeah.
So he slept in his truck waiting for me to come to my office at 8 o'clock in the morning. And so I'm in there and Juan's over there. And so I'm telling him about, your kids really should come over to Union, and he says, yeah, Eddie, I've got to do something. I've got to get them out of that other school, East Central. There's nothing over there, a bunch of niggers and Mexicans. I'm sitting there, and to him, there was no distinction between a black person and a Mexican. He had to get him away from the niggers and Mexicans.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there looking at him, and I'm trying to do everything I can not to just start cracking up.
Yeah.
Because to me, it was the funniest thing. To him, none were any better than the other one, but it was not. It showed it was not based on color. It was on his perception of the type of people they are.
Yeah.
Now, here's a guy from El Salvador who his in-laws from El Salvador, kids, were like on the fringes of MS-13. Mm-hmm. I mean, some of the worst people around, but yet to him, Mexicans and black people were worse. And I just could not. It really opened my eyes to confirm everything that I had thought, that it's not about race, it's about class, it's about perception of behavior of a certain class and type of person.
The musical My Fair Lady is a great example of just within London culture.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just in the city of London, the different
classes.
What
was the famous West Side Story?
Yeah.
The gangs and on and on. Puerto Ricans fighting against the black people fighting against the Puerto Ricans, fighting against the white gangs. Like Philadelphia again, Brickyard was the white gang.
Yeah.
And then Somerville was the one I was in, and then you had Tioga, this and that. I mean, it was just...
But just within white British Londoners, and it was all about the accent.
Well, you remember Pet Shop Boys, their song West End Girls?
Yeah.
West End Girls.
Okay.
Da, da, da. Yeah, I love the song. Great. Well, there were only two of them, but one of my favorite groups from the 80s. But that was, West Enders and East Enders and North Londoners and South London. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. You go to Africa. In fact, man, we are covering all kinds of territory. Okay. A little history lesson. In 1870.
Yeah.
They had what's called a Berlin Conference. You may never have heard of this, but it'd be something to look up. But it was the Berlin Conference. And I can't remember the name of the head guy who started this, Lord something out of England. But anyway, so what they did, the heads of the European countries came together. And England, France, Germany, Belgium, Spain, they all came up. And what they did, it's called the partitioning of Africa. If you want to look it up, look at the partitioning of Africa. And what they decided, they get into a room and they decide how to cut up Africa and who gets what as a colony.
Yep.
Colonizers.
Yep.
And so the French had part of the West Africa. It was French and what they call the Ivory Coast and
Cameroon and
Nigeria, Cameroon.
Liberia was actually an American colony.
Right. But you had like you said, Cameroon was French. I think Ghana may have been in part of Nigeria.
Yeah,
French had that part. The British had East Africa, England, Tanzania, Rhodesia, Mozambique. Mm-hmm. Down in there, right? And then North Africa, again, England had a huge chunk. The Germans had a certain part, and they actually ended up getting Cameroon. It actually went from French to German. I don't know why, but
World War II.
Oh, because that would have.
When France fell, Germany then came into all those French colonies. Morocco, that was French colony.
Right. Oh no, I know it was, but the one actually became French. Cameroon became French later. It used to be a German one, and then it became. Yeah, it was the other way around when the Germans lost. That's
they lost all of it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but anyway, in this partitioning, what happened? They decided to divide up Africa, but there was a very ingenious method to their madness. The way they did it, because they always feared a threat from the African against the European if they ever developed to a certain point. So what they did, the way they partitioned it in the middle of tribal territory.
Yeah.
So it would be like when the Apache and the Sioux hated each other. So what they did, they would take, let's say, the western part of the Sioux and divide right in the middle, and then they would take the Apache and go half on the other end with whatever tribe was running that. But now all of a sudden you've got Sioux, Apache, and some other tribe, Iroquois, let's say. They're now citizens.
And they're fighting each other.
These are natural enemies, but now they're supposed to be friends. Mm-hmm. And so that's how they partitioned Africa, to make natural enemies citizens of the same country, where they knew there's no way you're not going to rid yourself of thousands of, if not hundreds, if not thousands of years of hatred, animosity towards each other. And now all of a sudden you're supposed to be the same people.
Yeah.
And so that's how they did, and that's how they were able to keep Africa divided against itself, because they feared if Africa ever united.
Yeah, but
come against
you being, born in southern part of Germany, right? Mm-hmm. So move over a little bit to Yugoslavia. Mm-hmm. That was unusual. And Marshal Tito had the ability
to pull them
all together. And once he's gone, it turned into warfare.
Right.
Sarajevo.
So it showed the dictatorial hand, the heavy authoritarian hand, was able to keep people together.
Yeah.
That's what happened with Shaka Zulu. Everybody talks about the Zulu, and he was Bantu. It's called Bantu. And then you go down to the south, you got the Xhosa, and you got these other, I can't remember the name of the other tribe. But anyway, he was by force and power able to mass this gigantic army and this whole new tribe under Shaka and the Zulus. That's how they ended up becoming such a great nation, the Zulu nation. Yeah. But basically, what he was doing, join me or die. I mean, that was bottom line.
And the great Alexander of Greece. I mean, he was able to just power
until the Romans came in with more power.
But that was several hundred more years now after Alexander himself is gone.
Right. Oh, yeah. But I'm just saying, it doesn't matter who, but at some point, somebody else that's more powerful is going to come in.
Well, the Medes beating the Persians.
In the Artaxerxes.
I mean, the Medes beating the Babylonians.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And then they ended up encroaching all the way into Europe.
Yeah.
And that's who, what's his name? Alexander was initially fighting. They were in the Troy Wars and everything. They were keeping the
where we get the Marathon today is from that war from Marathon.
Was it the Peloponnesian?
Yeah,
yeah,
and where they finally defeated the Persian navy. It was the most powerful navy in the world at that time.
What's the famous, more modern movie called 300?
Yeah,
300. That's to me, it's hard to watch because I don't like what they did.
Yeah, I don't like the visuals.
The visual is not very good. Yeah. Not to me, you know. But it was a good story. Mm-hmm. In fact, somebody should redo it again. Mm-hmm. In fact, there was an earlier one called 300 Trojans or 300. I saw it when I was a little kid, and it was the same story, but it was done early on. But hey, let's finish this up. It's been a strange show.
Have a few,
sports.
Yeah, well, and I have just some breaking headlines.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Trump has ordered federal troops to Portland. Today.
That's right.
Yep. So that's going on. Tylenol. It's now apparent that they were aware of the risk of pregnancy as of 2018.
Right, but they put a warning on there.
At one point, they did.
Yeah, they had the warning on there, and apparently when what's so funny, speaking of that, you've seen the videos of the protesters. Trump derangement syndrome is real.
Yeah.
You've got these women now, it shows them pregnant and this one, singing and dancing, taking Tylenol just to spite, because the idiots think that it's a Trump thing. They're going to hurt Trump by taking Tylenol because Bobby Kennedy says it's bad for you.
Even though you got the CEO of Tylenol, the company, telling these women, don't.
Yeah. From what I understand, there have already been some women that have died by overdosing on Tylenol just to spite Trump.
Yeah.
I mean, this shows how bad TDS is. Trump derangement syndrome is a real thing, and it's dangerous.
Tony Blair has been nominated by Donald Trump to be the new leader of Gaza. The British former prime minister. Trump has a reason to.
Oh boy, sure he does. I'm just thinking.
It's just like you're trying to rack your brain. What is it? It's just like him wanting to make this grand resort casino. It's like, what was he thinking?
Yeah. My first thought is, Tony Blair, is he still alive?
Yes.
Even, you haven't heard anything from him. That is too funny.
He professes to be a born again Christian.
Really?
Tony Blair.
Well, praise the Lord. Hopefully. Hey, which reminds me. What was I going to say? Darn it. It slipped my mind. There was something else about Trump and someone or something he appointed. Yeah, I forget it. It may come back to me.
Well, of course, we got the indictments on Jim Comey.
Yeah.
That's going to be interesting.
Brennan, too, I think, as far as I understand.
I did not pick
Brennan
that up.
Yeah, I think they got Brennan on treason charges or something because, he admitted some things that he shouldn't have known about or shouldn't have talked about,
And the Justice Department has issued subpoenas on Fannie Willis's travel records. So there'll be a federal subpoena. So it means there's a federal investigation.
Good. And, of course, we got, what's the DA in New York? What's her name? Letitia.
AG, yeah.
Yeah, the AG,
Yep.
Letitia. And, it's so funny, though, like Microsoft, what's the website? I use Google all the time, but what
MSN?
Yeah, MSN. Mm-hmm. it's so obvious.
Oh,
If
yeah.
you go to MSN,
Oh, God.
it's always, and they're now trying to portray as Letitia as oh, she's going to get off because of this or this or this.
Right.
I want to say, not so fast, my friend.
Yeah. By the way, Trump is demanding that Microsoft fire Lisa Monaco. I don't know Lisa Monaco's position there, but we'll see. And then Erica Trump, and I'll just let you guys watch or read for yourself. She has, Erica Kirk, has revealed a plan for the Charlie Kirk show. Now, that's something I watch. I've watched that pretty frequently on Real America's Voice, which is, an independent, you would call it cable news network, except they're not on very many cable systems. But Charlie Kirk's radio show would appear live as a TV show between 11 and 1 Central Time. And, yeah, I think they've got to decide what they're going to do. I think Tyler, who's been the producer of the show, has been doing a great job on it. We'll see what happens.
Like you, we watched the whole funeral and everything. And Erica, in fact, she came out, wasn't it a night or two before she came out?
On the set of the show.
Right. And
actually, it was almost a week. It was a week ahead.
Was it? Yeah.
It was like 2 days after he was assassinated.
But both instances just seemed weird. She seemed a little odd. It seemed a little odd. Her whole, I don't know, her whole persona that was coming across. It just, I don't know. Maybe there was this wrestling within her, on being able to hold down her rage, her sadness, etc., and trying to come out. But it just seemed, even last Sunday, whereas the whole time she was looking up, and I think she was looking at a picture of, I think they had a thing on the screen of him above, but the whole time it's like, if you notice, she's looking up the whole time, and then, of course, she kept dabbing herself. But you couldn't really tell what her true feelings were. And it was like there was this battle going on, like the line where she said she forgave the guy. But it was like you could sense this struggle to get the words out. And then so anyway, it just came across as really odd. But the reason it probably came across as odd because of what she was going through.
Yeah.
And it struck me as, on one hand, this is brave. This is really something for somebody to be able to do this. Yeah. But at the same time, it came across as, to me, it opened itself up to attack. And all I could think of, which to their credit, I'm glad they didn't, or at least I haven't seen Saturday Night Live yet today, I could just see them parroting it. And doing a parody of it, and have some weird person imitating her, but taking it down a whole different. I think if they did, it would probably be the end of Saturday Night Live.
Should be.
It should be, yeah. I agree. But anyway, I just always want to be upfront and say what I think, and that's just how it's straight. I wonder if I'm the only person, and if you're out there watching, and you have a response, how you felt about everything. I'd love to hear it. But
for my wife, who really isn't into politics, right? This hit home with her because she could identify with what it's like for a woman to lose her husband in such a brutal way and leaving little kids behind. And shortly after, I think it was the next day after the assassination, I pulled up an old episode of Charlie Kirk's show when he had his wife in, and they just did Q&A, questions on marriage. And it's where my wife just really identified, because she could connect with her woman to woman Christian wife in a marriage and what marriage should be. But you got to see her real personality. She's light, bubbly, she's a former beauty queen herself.
Yeah, Miss
right?
Arizona.
Right, in that. So I don't think she's like, generally it's a stage fright issue.
No, I don't think so. No, I agree.
I just think it's like, you only get one chance to do this right. And then there's that feel like, what can I do for my departed Charlie? Yes, you've been to funerals. You know how it is. It can, especially when it's your spouse in the prime of life and all that. So, but that helped my wife to connect and identify. And she's to this day following this story like nothing else. Because even though politics aside, to her, it's truly a spiritual warfare issue in our time. So
no, I agree, and that's what I'm saying. But it came across as just a bit strange, but considering everything and how soon. See, that's the thing. I think the suddenness. I think there was this battle raging within her to not totally break down, to not show anger, etc. How do you present this in a way and get it out, so anyway.
I got something else, Eddie. It just dawned on me. They've got over 1,000 employees. And those employees, they've gotten to know personally. You can tell. You watch that radio show, you can tell. I mean, they are tight-knit. And with the death of Charlie, does that mean the death of this organization? What about all these families with little children and all this? I think the burden of responsibility for the sake of Charlie's mission, for the sake of these committed families and workers, I think that's a huge burden.
Sure. Well, I can, on a smaller scale, I think I told you we were with Keith Green and his wife and some other people about a month before he died.
Yeah.
Month or two, and Melody Green, after the plane crash and he was killed and everything, she had that same thing thrown on her.
Yeah.
And what made it a little different was there was this huge lawsuit by the relatives of the family that died with him.
Yeah.
But in the end, and this is, I think, always stays in my mind and makes me wonder, will Turning Point USA survive?
Yeah.
Because what was Last Days Ministries was Keith's name.
Right. Fred Gage had told me a lot of this story because he came in.
It eventually died. It really, because Keith was such a strong, powerful figure that he was able to keep it all together. But as soon as he passed away, she didn't have the calling that he had, and so. It makes me wonder: will she be able to, or is it set up in a way that the lieutenants are able to rise to or one of them is able to rise to the same place that he was?
Keith was an artist and a performer.
But I'm talking about.
I understand, but I'm getting ready to contrast it. Whereas he was an artist and performer. And it was a creative skill in that. What Charlie's doing was more communicating and organizing.
Yeah, but see, Keith, in essence, regardless, he was the same thing. He had that power to be able to tell others what to do, what we're going to do. He built that whole ministry and ran it.
The ranch down there, the Last Days Ranch?
Right.
Yeah.
He ran the whole thing and had people in place and all of that.
Yeah.
But is there somebody behind him with enough gravitas and same vision, et cetera, to be able to?
So the interesting thing, I was watching one day on InfoWars, Owen Schroyer's War Room show. Owen since left InfoWars recently. But this was back before COVID. It was in either 19 or 20. InfoWars had gotten kicked off of so many social media platforms, right? And Matt Schlapp, it was at CPAC, he was walking through showing Charlie Kirk how they've organized CPAC. And they're walking past InfoWars, and Matt and Charlie Kirk are both ignoring Owen, and Owen's trying to get their attention. He finally jumps over the table, goes over and shakes his hand. And Charlie Kirk was like really nervous, like, I don't want to be seen with InfoWars. Because a lot of the conservative movement wanted to throw InfoWars under the bus,
right,
to save their own reputation. I'm not like him, you know.
Yeah.
Well, you know, that's come full circle, and all of a sudden, Alex Jones' InfoWars has been, you know, because we all got treated like InfoWars by social media. But the funny thing, what was happening to Matt Schlapp running CPAC, he pretty much had a monopoly. Charlie Kirk started putting on events that eclipsed CPAC.
Well, yeah. Oh, yeah. And that's one of the truly remarkable things about Charlie and Turning Point. And here's what's so crazy about it, how quietly it's been done. I had no clue. I mean, we've all heard of Charlie Kirk, and we think this and that, but we did not see him continually on major television shows. It was all done underground or on the low key.
He was banned from being on Fox.
Right, but just in general, even Fox, CPAC. I mean, what is it? What's the other one? Not CPAC. What is
Newsmax?
Newsmax, yeah, and all the others out there. You just did not see, and I think that's part of the wisdom that you couldn't peg him with conservative radio, TV, etc.
Well,
he had his own program, and for example, he was on Bill Maher's show. You know, he was on lots different.
Oh yeah, he knew how to build bridges and stuff.
Right.
But the business side of things, Matt Schlapp and Mercedes Schlapp, his wife, made a deal and became employees at Newsmax. Okay. And that cemented a beautiful little synergy for them between CPAC and Newsmax.
Right.
But Charlie Kirk signed a deal with Real America's Voice, which competes with Newsmax.
Right.
So you had that competition thing going on there. And so what happened was Real America's Voice promoted the heck out of Turning Point, not CPAC. Newsmax promoted the heck out of CPAC, not Turning Point.
Right.
So they were competing entities.
Right, but overall, you did not see, and whether it's because, you know, he was kind of had his own little war with Fox News Channel and so, but the real true heart and success of Turning Point was the fact that he was able to build it from a grassroots level among students. It was truly a student organization.
Okay.
And so he was beyond those networks.
Right.
It was bigger than that.
But that's also where, you know how media operations have to promote their entity, have to go do live events. It's just smart business, right? Mm-hmm. It's just like, you know, when Carmen did his big show on Maybe Center that he filled it up for his album. He said, I don't make any, I hope to break even on the concerts. Where I really make my money is in the album sales, you know, and
DC Talk used to the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, they would sell so many shirts.
But you need that buzz.
Yeah.
Especially when you're launching, you know.
But he did it in a smart way. It was peer to peer. It was among the students themselves, campus to campus. And that's how he grew his things. Yeah. And that's why it's so strong. That's why it's such a strong organization, because it was built down here instead of up here.
Yeah, CPAC events, especially like when Ron Paul was running for president, the CPAC events, Ron Paul would win those straw polls. You know why? Because all those college kids that used to go to CPAC, it used to be a massive bunch of young kids at CPAC.
Right.
And, you know, as soon as Turning Point started doing their events, young kids quit going to CPAC. So I don't know what's going to happen there.
No, we don't. That's what I'm saying. Whether or not there's enough strength underneath, whether it's Erica or someone else in the organization can step up and command the type of allegiance and following and has the, I mean, it's usually there's one person per generation. It's like Keith Green. Once he died, for a long time, you haven't heard anybody have that type of influence on the body of Christ, okay? Mm-hmm. And in politics, to see what Charlie Kirk has done, like I said, I didn't even realize how powerful and influential he was until last week. Mm-hmm. And I don't think we'll see another person like him for some years.
Yeah.
Oh, Rush Limbaugh is another one.
Yeah.
You know, there's not the person that has impacted radio as he had since he's passed away.
Well, yeah. Remember when Rush Limbaugh came on, he was a pioneer. There was only Rush Limbaugh.
Right.
Now we've got thousands of Rush Limbaughs.
Right. But still, among the thousands, Rush was still the guy. He was cut above.
I understand that.
He had a unique mantle or something that separated him from the also-ran.
Yeah, and I'm going to say, to your point on that, when Donald Trump was here in Tulsa in 2020, what's up?
No, go ahead. Finish your story. Then we'll
2020. I'm sitting up in the nosebleed section at the BOK Center, and it's been an hour and 20 minutes, and Trump is just going on, just Donald, right? And he's still got everybody captivated. The only time I've seen that was when I went to Oklahoma City to see Rush Limbaugh's Rush to Excellence tour. That's the only two people that I've known who can command an audience and entertain them for an hour and a half. Rush Limbaugh, Donald Trump.
Right.
And, you know, Rush, I just like, now I understand it. Donald Trump is the new Rush Limbaugh.
You know, that's interesting. I've never thought about that. But yeah, in a sense, you're correct.
In that communication capability, you know, and just to hold the masses for that long.
Right.
Charlie Kirk wasn't that kind of dynamic speaker. He was a good debater, philosopher, teacher, organizer, and peacemaker. Remember, he's the one. When Bobby Kennedy went on stage with Trump to say, I am now endorsing him, that was at a Charlie Kirk Turning Point event in Phoenix. And Bobby Kennedy said, at the memorial, he said, it's because of Charlie Kirk that happened. Charlie Kirk knew that synergy of the, you know, moms who are concerned about health, young families, and that. If we get Bobby Kennedy over, my daughter and son-in-law, perfect example. They were big Bobby Kennedy fans. So, and then to pull the different people, even at his memorial, you have people that are just staunchly angry. Ben Shapiro and Tucker Carlson. On the Israel issue, passions.
Yeah.
Sure. But they were both, you know, hey, whatever we can do.
Yeah.
They both hosted his show afterwards. So, yeah, I think there's some sports going on.
Well, yeah, the one I've been looking at here is USC, who is now ranked 21st, and Illinois, who was in the top 10 last week, is they're 20. What are they? Number 23 now. Anyway, they keep going back and forth.
Yeah, it's a tight one.
A few minutes ago, when you were talking, Illinois went up 31 to 20 to 25, and now it's USC 32 to 31.
Yep.
So it's kind of interesting to see that. And another one, UCF is losing to Kansas State. Kansas State is winning that one, although K-State, I think I think they're like 1-3 or something. I think they lost 3 of their last games.
Well, they lost that one in Ireland, remember?
Right. And I think they've lost 2 more since, and they're
they're bleeding badly.
Yeah.
I got to say, it was last week, but we got to talk about OU and Auburn. I've not seen that kind of defensive performance out of OU in years.
A little bit of controversy over the win.
There were some non-calls.
Yeah,
that should have been called.
Yeah, that last touchdown that OU got. There's other video and so forth that they shouldn't have counted. But even if it hadn't counted, does that mean they wouldn't have scored again anyway?
Right.
So that's the.
I'm thinking, particularly 2 in the fourth quarter, two that should have been called that weren't. They got by with a couple things. Yeah.
But sometimes that's.
But 10 sacks in a game.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No. It was. They're definitely back to playing OU football.
Yeah, he's an okay quarterback. I don't think there's anything right about, at least not in that game. It was the defense.
The rest of the
defense
surrounding. Yeah. So we'll see. I mean, the true test is going to be teams like Alabama, LSU. The really top tier of the SEC.
Yeah, is
what we're going to see. So, but anyway, I was looking. USC was down to Illinois 30. I think I just said 30. 120. I'm sorry, it was 28-25, and now it's 32-31 for USC again.
They just kicked, Yeah.
And
there's less than a minute in the fourth quarter. We'll see what Illinois can do.
Yeah, but that's a pretty good game. And we got Texas playing Cleveland. Man, that's what gets me about the SEC. They rip Big 12 teams for their schedule, and then you look at their schedules. And now, to their credit, though, Texas started out against Ohio State. So
Ohio.
Start out at the top and then work your way down. But still, they kind of plan their games to the last to where they have breaks within. It's almost like having a bye week.
Yeah, the big showdown today, 2:30, is going to be LSU at Ole Miss.
Yeah,
those are a couple of powerhouse teams. Yeah. Ole Miss right now 13. LSU's number 4 in the rankings. By the way, we've lost Mike Gundy, and I don't think anybody's surprised.
Yeah, and a lot of people wouldn't consider it a loss.
Mm-hmm.
They might consider it a gain. Now, personally, I like Mike. I think where he really messed up, the turning point for me was that Chuba Hubbard incident.
Yeah. In fact, Owen Troyer and I talked about it. He said they cucked Gundy. I know it's kind of a vulgar term, but he says if they can cuck Gundy, they can cuck anyone. Gundy, in his last press conference, talked about, it's like arguing your wife, you're going to lose, and like, really? You're that whipped of a puppy here? Yeah, and I think the Chuba thing really revealed something's missing. Before, Owen was saying, he says, I'm a man! Come after me!
Well,
leave my kids alone!
He should have said, I used to be a man when it came to the Chuba Hubbard thing, because that, stand up. I mean, I'm fishing with my kids. What I do on my private time is none of your business.
Yes.
If I want to wear a hammer and sickle on my shirt, it shouldn't matter to you.
Mike, go to the low T center. They can help you.
Or one of my bosses used to say when he was in a house, and he's trying to sell life insurance, and the man says, well, let me talk to my wife about it and see. And he says, well, before you do that, why don't you go to the kitchen, open the refrigerator, and pour yourself a cup of man.
Yeah.
It's a chauvinistic saying, but I used to crack up when he would say that. Cause...
one of my clients and I were talking about this last year. He's a OSU grad and a former CEO of a major utility. And we were just talking about this UCFL thing, this no salary caps and everybody's a free agent. And I said to him, because he knows business, I said, is this sustainable? He says, no, it's not sustainable. And he says, especially when you're in Oklahoma State, half the SEC cannot compete with the other half.
Right. No,
I can't hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I keep doing that. Yeah, I'm sorry. No, you're right. I'll tell you the big surprise, and this is what, it's funny we're into a whole new show, really. We're over 3 hours, but but like the Texas Tech deal, okay? Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, Cody Campbell, have we talked about this before? Okay, Cody Campbell is a former player for Tech who was a petroleum engineering student as well, which shows that some of these guys really are good football, students as well. Anyway, and he's now a multi-billionaire, okay? Well, he has given Tech in the last year or two, I think something like $45 million, okay? In fact, he's given them so much money that the stadium, Jones AT&T Stadium, is now Campbell AT&T Stadium. And between him and Pat Mahomes and so forth, they're the ones who brought in the pitcher. Yeah. And they brought in all of these new football recruits from all these other schools. And it's because and they were smart early on, even before this, what they were doing. Every football player, no matter from the best to the least, gets $100,000. Wow. Yeah, every player on the team gets $100,000, and they have put so much money. And I like the girl, the pitcher. She was first. Yeah, got
Kennedy,
$1 million.
Najari Kennedy, $1.3 million for softball.
Yeah,
that's not a revenue sport,
right? And so he has It just shows what money. It's the new pro league. It's the pro farm league basically, and eventually it'll trickle down to the high school level as well. But all of a sudden, Tech has become a powerhouse. So all of a sudden, ESPN and these people don't want to give any respect. Well, they never have, but they want to overlook Tech because, it's just the money. Well, yeah, but it's overt money. Everybody knows about the money.